Am I audible? Am I audible? Check now. Am I audible? Some of you saying I'm not audible. Please refresh the page. Please refresh the page. Just 2 or 3 people are saying I'm not audible. Please refresh the page. I should be audible now. The rest of you are basically saying I'm audible. Okay, let's start then. Yesterday we started with the concept of agriculture and food processing. Idea of agriculture and food processing. Now in agriculture and food processing, what we have discussed? Right? What we have discussed in agriculture and food processing, we started with the concept of MSP, minimum support price. MSP, minimum support price. By the way, if you read the newspaper yesterday, the Jute MSP was there. Right? Jute MSP announcement was there. Again, UPSC will not ask you the numbers. Please don't by heart the numbers of MSP. Okay. Now we started with the concept of MSP. What is this MSP? MSP basically stands for minimum support price. MSP is nothing but minimum support price. Now what is this idea for minimum support price? Government will announce a particular price at which government will purchase the food grains, irrespective of whatever the market price is. Market price could be higher than MSP or lower than MSP. So whatever is the market price doesn't matter. Government will pay this price and purchase the food grain from the farmers. Now, what is the process? Why it was introduced first? Then what is the process? Back in 1960s, and specifically around 1966 or 67, when MSP was introduced, government started promoting green revolution. And I told you, under green revolution, the production of food crops would increase. And when the production increases, the supply to the market will increase, and the market prices will start coming down. And this will have a negative effect or negative impact on income of the farmers. So government, in order to provide certain relief to the farmers, introduced the idea of MSP, right, wherein they will purchase and pay the price. Next point, what is the process? There is one authority, Commission for Agriculture Cost and Prices. Commission for Agriculture Cost and Prices, CACP. And the CACP, based on various factors, such as price of input, the demand in the domestic market, demand in the international market, supply in the domestic market, supply in the international market, etc. A lot of factors are considered. Based on this, the CACP will give recommendation to Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs. And the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs finally will decide and announce the minimum support price for more than 20 crops. What are the crops? Yesterday I've shown you the list. Please try to remember the list. Once a question in the prelims has been asked on the list of the commodities. What commodities are there? What commodities are there? The list of the commodities question has been asked in prelims. So again, possibility is there. So please remember at least let's say 6 to 7 commodities. The next point that I told you was central government will announce MSP, state governments will announce bonus over MSP. For example, if you remember yesterday, I told you if the center will announce 1000 rupees MSP and the state will announce 200 rupee bonus and the farmer will sell the crop. It simply means the farmer will be earning how much? 1000 rupee MSP from the center and 200 rupee bonus from the state government. Next point, in the context of sugarcane. In the context of sugarcane, this is where we stop the discussion. In the context of sugarcane, the government will announce the FRP, fair and remunerative prices. And I told you yesterday, the sugarcane farmers will cultivate, harvest the sugarcane and sell the sugarcane to the mill owners. Now it is the mill owners who will have to pay FRP that is decided by the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs. Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs. Government will not purchase sugarcane. Government will simply announce the FRP, and it is this FRP that is paid by the mill owners to the sugarcane farmers. Now let me continue from here itself. Let me start from here itself. Next point here. Apart from FRP, right? Apart from FRP for sugarcane, there is also SAP, State Advisory Prices. State advisory prices. Apart from FRP on sugarcane, there is a state advisory prices for sugarcane. What is the state advisory prices? The FRP is announced by the center. FRP is announced by the center. And SAP is announced by whom? Look at the name itself, you'll understand. SAP is announced by the state government. Now understand the very important point here. Generally, SAP is greater than FRP. Generally, there is no compulsion. There is no compulsion. But generally, what we see is SAP, right? That is state advisory prices. It is higher than FRP. And what is the logic of having one FRP as well as SAP for sugarcane? Whichever is higher, I repeat, whichever is higher, the mill owners will be paying that price to the sugarcane farmers. I'll repeat it. Under FRP as well as the SAP, whichever is higher, whichever is the bigger one, that is the amount that will be paid by the sugarcane or sugar mill owners to the sugarcane farmers. For example, let's say SAP is 2000 rupees, SAP is 2000 and FRP is let's say 1200 rupees. Now you tell me, if you purchase a sugarcane from me, what is the price you will pay? Start answering. Start answering. SAP is 2000 rupees. FRP is 1200 rupees. You are the mill owner. You are the mill owner. You will purchase sugarcane from me. What is the price you will pay? You will pay 2000 rupees to me. These are the points. Remember this. These are how the SAP, MRP, right, or let's say even FRP, all these concepts will work out in the agriculture sector. Please be very careful. Now yesterday, when I was discussing certain questions, I told you, although central government announces MSP for more than 20 crops, understand this carefully. Although the center announces MSP for more than 20 crops, point number 1 here, MSP, there is no legal guarantee for this. There is no legally guaranteed MSP. MSP is not legally guaranteed. What do you mean by MSP is not legally guaranteed? There is no law, right? As of now, there is no law in India which will guarantee MSP for the farmers. Is the logic okay? Let me know. There is no law. There is no act of government of India which will guarantee that MSP is announced by the government every year. Absolutely no legal backing. No law. There is no provision in the constitution also, which means government under its executive authority, will announce MSP. Government under its executive authority will announce MSP. Can I also infer that tomorrow if government of India wants to cancel MSP, they can do that? Is it okay? Tomorrow, government of India might simply say, after 1 more year, I will not be announcing any MSP for the crop. Will it be allowed? Of course, yes. It is a government decision. It is the executive authority of the government. They can do that. That is the precise reason. In recent times, there has been a lot of demands regarding this. There has been a demand from the side of the farmer organizations that they want to have a legally guaranteed MSP. They want the government to introduce a law, and under the law, they want government to have the concept of MSP. So that tomorrow, just because government doesn't feel like paying MSP, they will not be able to withdraw the MSP. Then that is point number 1. Point number 2 here. Point number 2, there is a concept called as open-ended procurement. There is this idea of open-ended procurement. Procurement simply means what? Purchasing. Procurement means purchasing. There's a policy that is followed by the government, open-ended procurement policy. What is this idea of open-ended procurement policy? Follow this carefully. In case of open-ended procurement policy, farmers are allowed to sell these crops. Farmers are allowed to sell the crops to Food Corporation of India. any farmer can take a crop, sell it to Food Corporation of India. Right? There is no compulsion on only these farmers to sell, or there is no restriction on any farmers to sell the food crops under MSP to Food Corporation of India. This policy where any farmer can sell the crop to the Food Corporation of India, that is called as open-ended procurement policy. But do not be misled by the term open-ended procurement here. Follow this carefully. Do not be misled by the term open-ended procurement. Let me ask you a simple question. MSP is announced for jute. How many of you think a farmer can take the jute, sell it to FCI? Let me know. MSP is announced for jute. How many of you think the farmer will take the jute, go to the Food Corporation of India and force the Food Corporation of India to purchase jute? No. Right? You cannot force them. FCI doesn't procure jute. Why? Right? Does the government of India require jute for food distribution purposes? Let me know. Does government of India require jute for food distribution purposes? No. What are the food grains which are majorly distributed by the government? Can I simply say that it is rice and wheat? It is rice and wheat. Now tell me, majority of the schemes of government of India, government mainly distributes rice and wheat. Now can I say that majorly procured food grains under MSP will be rice and wheat? Majorly procured food grains under the public distribution system or under the concept of MSP will be rice and wheat. So anything apart from rice and wheat, do they procure anything apart from it? Yes, government has started procuring pulses now. Now we have started procuring pulses. We also procure coarse grains, right? We also procure a lot of coarse grains for the distribution under public distribution system. So the argument is simple here. We have an open-ended procurement policy where farmers can take the crop, sell it to FCI. But it doesn't mean that any point of time we can simply take the crop and force the FCI to purchase it. No. There are certain conditions here. What are the conditions? One, government should procure this food grain first of all. Government should be procuring the food grain in the first place. Can I connect it to current affairs? How many of you have read regarding the issue between the central government and the Telangana government? The issue between the center as well as the Telangana government. What happened here? Let me connect it to current affairs. In Telangana, the cultivators, the farmers in the Telangana cultivated a rice, a variety of rice, simple. They cultivated rice. And basically this rice is referred to as a parboiled rice. Parboiled rice. And what is the meaning of a parboiled rice? Partially boiled rice. Now some of you will be basically confused. You'll say, sir, what is this partially boiled rice? If you have seen the rice, otherwise type in the Google later. First you will have the paddy like this. First you will have paddy. That is husk is there around the grain of rice. You will open up the husk like this and the rice grain is available inside the husk. Right? That is paddy. Now have a look at this. Whenever you are going to basically extract, that is milling. When you mill using this, let's say certain machine, there's a danger that the rice grains will be broken. These are very brittle, so the rice grains will be broken. And to avoid this breaking of the rice grains, what these millers do is, they will partially boil the rice. They will partially boil this husk. And after that, they will start milling so that the rice grains will not be broken. Hence, this is called as a parboiled rice. So under MSP, rice is procured. Central government said, I will not be procuring parboiled rice. Simple. Central government said, I will not procure parboiled rice. The reason that was given by the central government was, I already have sufficient amount of food grains. So I don't want to procure more and more parboiled rice. That is the basic idea. Remember this. And did center end up procuring it? Absolutely no. State government ended up procuring it. So that is very important. Please remember, central government should have the requirement. Only then they will procure the food grains. And the fourth very important point here. Most of the procurement that is done by the government is done in surplus states. It is done in surplus states. Right? In fact, yesterday and day for yesterday, this idea of a surplus state was there in the newspapers. Right? I'll tell you the context. State government of Odisha and the central government. This discussion of surplus was actually happening. Now, what is the idea of a surplus state? Let me explain this. Imagine there is one state, state 1. And in the state 1, let's say there are 10 beneficiaries which are covered by the government. There are 10 people who are covered by the government to whom 5 kgs of food grain is provided. Now, is it okay if I say if there are 10 beneficiaries and every month 5 kgs of food grains have to be provided? What is the requirement of food grains by the government in this state? How much food grain does the government need to maintain in order to distribute it to these 10 beneficiaries? 50 kgs. I'm taking very simple numbers. 50 kgs. Now, what is the production in this state? Production in this state is, let's say, 200 kgs. What if the production in this state is 200 kgs? Now, have a look at this. The government requires only 50 kgs. Government requires only 50 kgs for purchasing and distribution. But the production in the state is 200 kgs. So what will happen? This is called as a surplus state. This is called as a surplus state. Now there is another state, let's say state 2. In the state 2, there are 20 beneficiaries. Every month I'll have to give you, or I'll have to give these beneficiaries 5 kgs. So requirement of food grains is how much? 100 kgs. But in the state 2, only 80 kgs is produced. Only 80 kgs is produced. Now can I simply say state 2 is a deficit state? Let me know. State 1 is a surplus state. State 2 is a deficit state. Now some of you ask me, sir, why only 80 kgs are being produced in state 2? How many of you believe that all the states in India can produce a rice? I hope you understand. How many of you believe that in all the states in India, they can produce wheat? Don't you think from one state to another state, soil profile will change, climate will change, what kind of crops they can cultivate automatically will change. So there is this idea of, I hope you understand, there is this idea of some states are being surplus states and some states are being deficit states. Now if government of India wants to provide food grains even in the second state, can I now say that they will procure more and more in surplus states, move the food grains to the deficit states? Let me know. I'll repeat the statement here. If government of India wants to ensure that they will be providing food security even to the beneficiaries in the second state, the government will procure more food grains in the surplus state, move them across the state border, transport them across the state border to the state 2 and start distributing in the deficit state. Right? So the movement will happen from the surplus to deficit. Now look at my next point. If procurement is very high in the surplus state, you tell me farmers in the state 1 will be benefited or not? Simple question. If procurement is high in state 1, surplus state, will the farmers from state 1 benefit or not? Right? Of course, yes. State 1. I'm asking about state 1. If procurement rather than 50 kgs, the center will procure 100 kgs. They should have only procure 50 because that is the requirement in the state 1. But they will not just stop at 50, they will go up to 100, which means farmers will be getting, right, MSP. More number of farmers will be getting the benefit of MSP in state 1. What about state 2? Right, comparatively, less number of farmers or lesser benefit or lesser procurement is being done in the state 2. Right, so that's the reason I will use a statement. Please look at it now and let me know whether I'm correct or not. Procurement is mainly centered about rice and wheat. And mainly it is the farmers from the surplus state who will get the maximum benefit of MSP, because the center procures large quantity of food grains from the surplus states. Any example for a surplus state? Punjab, Haryana, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, all these are basically examples of surplus states. Lot of cultivation of rice, wheat, etc. happens in these states. Right, done. So these are certain very, very important points regarding the concept of MSP, minimum support price. Now let me add to this, right, basically a discussion about a descriptive question. I'll come back to this, don't worry. Should we provide legal backing to MSP? There is this argument that Government of India should provide the legal backing. That is, it should be legally identified, legally recognized, and legal backing should be provided to MSP. Now the question is, should we do that? If I do that, what is the benefit? What is the advantage? And if I do that, what is the concern? What is the disadvantage? Let me start with the advantages here. If Government of India provides the MSP, announces the MSP, and starts providing a legal backing, does it not mean that all the farmers now can sell it to Government of India? Whether it is a crop X, Y, Z, doesn't matter, because there is a legal recognition now. Because there is a legal recognition now, right? Will all the farmers, will they be able to sell the crops to Government of India? Of course, yes. They can sell these crops. Whether the government wants it or not doesn't matter, because there is a legal recognition to the MSP now. So what will happen? Farmers will be provided with certain guaranteed returns here. Right? All the farmers can sell the crop, and the farmers will be earning certain guaranteed returns. Right? Now, some of you will ask me, what is meaning of guaranteed returns here? Simple question to all of you. Between MSP and market prices, you tell me, where do you expect guaranteed earning? I'm writing two prices here. MSP and the market prices. Where do you think there is guaranteed amount of income you're going to earn? Is it okay, MSP? MSP, right? Because Government of India has announced 1,000 rupees MSP, whatever be the market price, and there is no guaranteed market price. Sometimes it will be higher than 1,000, sometimes it will be lower than 1,000. There is no guarantee. But here, if MSP is 1,000 rupees, irrespective of the market situation, government will pay 1,000 rupees to you. So point number one, farmers will be guaranteed with certain amount of income. Point number two, all the farmers, whether the government wants it or not, doesn't matter now. All the farmers now will be able to sell their crops to the Government of India. Government will have to pay money to all the farmers here. Right? Farmers from other states will also start getting the benefit, not just from surplus states. Third one, it will address the issue of distress in the agriculture sector. What we are seeing right now, let me connect it to current affairs. How many of you think onion farmers have earned a good amount of returns? Let me know. In the last 2 or 3 months, how many of you think onion farmers, potato farmers, or tomato farmers have earned a good amount of returns? Absolutely no. Absolutely no. Now, what is the issue here? A farmer will basically take a loan, cultivate the crop, sell the crop, earn money, and repay the loan. Is the sequence okay with all of you? Just like what we have discussed in case of companies. Farmer will take a loan, cultivate, sell, earn, and repay the loan. Now, what has happened? The farmer has taken the loan. By the time they sell it, the market prices have crashed. Market prices have crashed. Right? From where will the farmers earn sufficient amount of income to repay the loan now? Don't you think that is one of the contributors of the distress in the agriculture sector? That is also one of the contributors of why farmers suffer from very high amount of a debt. Many of the farmers commit suicides because of this. So there is a lot of distress in the agriculture sector, and with guaranteed legally backed MSP to a very great extent, and now if the tomato prices, assuming it is covered under MSP, it will fall, let's say to 2 rupees or 3 rupees, they can simply sell it to government now. Right? So the farm distress will be reduced. Coverage of the farmers will also be increased. How many number of farmers will be covered under MSP will also be very, very high now. These are some of the advantages or benefits associated with providing legal backing to MSP. But there are a lot of concerns related to this, a lot of issues related to this. First one, I have not written it, but you tell me. If Government of India provides legally backed MSP, will USA be happy with it? Let me know. If Government of India provides, yesterday we have discussed this, it should not be very difficult for you to comprehend it now. Right? If Government of India provides a legally guaranteed MSP, first thing USA will do is drag India to WTO, file a complaint on India. File a complaint on India, right? Because we will end up crossing 10% de minimis limit. Point number two, what about the finances of Government of India? What about the finances of Government of India? If Government of India will start procuring all these crops, government has to pay more MSP. If government will pay more MSP, revenue expenditure will go up, revenue deficit will go up, and as a result of this, it might contribute to higher fiscal deficit. Second problem. Problem number three, what will happen to the crops that are procured by the government? What will happen to the crops which are procured by the government? If government will start procuring these crops, one, it has to have sufficient storage facility. All of you will agree? It has to have sufficient storage facility. Do we have sufficient storage facility in India? Answer is simply no. Right? The Government of India, that is through Food Corporation of India, will store food grains, no doubt. As per the requirement, they will store it now. But even now, the problem is that we do not have sufficient warehousing storage facility. Because don't imagine a situation where they will purchase and simply keep it like this. No. They will have to protect it from rainfall. Any problem here? They will have to protect it from rainfall. They will have to protect the food grains from sunlight. They will have to protect it from higher moisture, and what about attack from pests? Destruction of the food grain bags by the pests such as rats. So that's the reason, understand the logic here. Storage, whenever you talk about storage, right, it simply means scientific storage. Is it okay? Whenever you talk about the term storage or warehousing here, it simply means scientific storage. Right? I'll give a very simple example here. Imagine you have procured fruits. Imagine you have purchased the fruits. How many of you believe that you can keep the fruits in the open air? That is called as storage. Let me know. Right? Apply to your own house, you'll understand it. Right now, mangoes will start coming. Right? You'll have many of these fruits. Can you keep these particular fruits in the open air for a longer duration? No. Right? Quality will be lost. So for that purpose, you'll have to have a cold warehousing, scientific warehousing. Right? That's a basic idea. So argument here is simple. If government will purchase these food grains, where is the storage capacity? Do we have sufficient storage capacity? Absolutely no. Right now, Food Corporation of India takes a private sector warehouses on rent. I'll repeat it. Right now itself, even though we are not procuring all the food grain, Food Corporation of India, they have their own warehousing capacity. But they will also take the private sector warehouses on rent, and they will pay this particular rent. Right? So there is already a burden on Food Corporation of India. Now imagine, right, what will happen if every farmer will come to the government and start selling it. Right? And now, next, how MSP will be decided. That's also very important. How much MSP will be given by the government? I'll discuss this. Just have patience. I'll discuss how MSP is decided. What is the issue? I'll tell you. Just have patience. How much money will be paid by the government? How MSP will be decided? That is also very, very important. Burden on the government will suddenly increase. Impact on the traders in the market. Let me explain this. Follow this very carefully. Let me explain this. Let's start. Here is Food Corporation of India, and here is a private company which will purchase the food grains. Right? For example, I'm pretty sure all of you seen food grains being sold by more superstores, food grains being sold in multiple let's say stores, private sector stores, etc. Now, from where will they purchase the food grains? Basically from the market. Right? Reliance will purchase from a trader. Trader would have purchased it from a farmer. Now, if I'm a farmer, if Government of India is providing me with guaranteed MSP, is it okay if I say that I will sell more and more food grains to Food Corporation of India? Let me know. Rather than being dependent on the market, because government is providing guaranteed MSP to me, I will sell more and more food grains to Food Corporation of India. Now, if farmers will sell more and more food grains to FCI, what will happen to the supply in the market? What will happen to the supply in the market? Supply in the market automatically will go down. And if the supply goes down, you tell me what is the price that will be paid by the traders, the private companies, private operators. How much price will they pay? They will pay lower price or higher price? They will pay higher price. Let's say Reliance company has paid more money, purchased wheat from the farmer. Now, will they not sell the same wheat to the customers in the market at higher prices now? I hope you understand. Will they not increase the selling price that they will charge to the customers now? Of course, yes. That is how the business will work out. Now, it will have a huge impact on purchasing activity of the traders, point one. Second, it might cause even food inflation in the market. It could simply contribute to food inflation in the market. Right? So, these are some of the very important issues or concerns related to providing guaranteed MSP or let's say legally guaranteed MSP to the farmers. And that's the precise reason, again I'll repeat it, as of now, we do not have a legal backing to MSP. Because there are a lot of concerns related to this idea of providing legal recognition to MSP. Government says, I'm not going to withdraw MSP. I hope you understand. Let's look at both the sides of the argument. Right? So that you will have clarity. And always try to give clarity in your answers. So argument is, government says, I'm not going to withdraw MSP. Please look at what I've done in the last 4 to 5 years. Look at my procurement. My procurement in the last 4 to 5 years has actually increased. It is not a symbol that I'm going to withdraw MSP. It doesn't signify that I'm going to withdraw MSP. But farmers are concerned that because there is no legal recognition to MSP, tomorrow Government of India might simply say no MSP. I hope you understand. The farmers are concerned that because there is no legal backing to the MSP, tomorrow the Government of India might simply say no MSP henceforth. I will not provide any amount of MSP to the farmers. There is a concern. There is a concern. This is the argument of the government. Now, how is the MSP decided by the Government of India? Right, what is the pricing formula that they will take in deciding the MSP? Now, I've written 3 formulas here. Follow the discussion here. One is A2, second one is A2 plus FL, third one is C2. And those who have read the newspaper will be very conversant, very much aware about these prices. One is A2, second one is A2 plus FL, third one is C2. But be very, very careful here. Are these the only 3 prices that are recommended by CACP? I repeat my statement here. Are these the only 3 prices which are recommended by CACP? Absolutely no. Absolutely no. Right? There is A1, there is A2, there is A2 plus FL, there is a C1, there is a C2, there is a C2 star, etc. like this. But for Civil Services GS paper 3, do not worry about all of it. Focus only on 3. Let me explain all the 3 here. Now let's start. I'll just take a simple example to make you understand it. Let's say hypothetically, I'm fed up with teaching. Right? I'm fed up with teaching because it doesn't matter whatever I teach, you keep on asking questions. I'm fed up. I've reached the stage of nirvana. So what I'll do today, I will stop teaching. I will go to my village. I'll drag my wife also along with me, and I'll start cultivating. I'll start production in the agriculture sector. Now, simple question to you people. Start answering now. If I start cultivating, will I require certain inputs or not? Simple idea. Will I require certain inputs or not? Sir, what kind of inputs? Let's say I will purchase seeds. I'll purchase fertilizer. I will require irrigation, that is electricity. I will also use labor. I'll just throw arbitrary numbers here, just to make you understand. Nothing. The UPSC will not ask you calculation. It's not important. Just to make you understand. Let's say seeds will cost me 100, fertilizer 200, electricity 300, and labor. Imagine 200 rupee per unit. 200 per unit of labor. I've used 2 labor. So what will be the cost of labor? 400 rupees. So have a look at this. Right? These are the inputs, and this is the money I'm going to spend on inputs. So what is the amount I'm going to spend on the inputs here? How much money will I be spending on the inputs? I'll be spending 1000 rupees on the inputs. This is nothing but A2 methodology. Right? What is going to happen in A2 methodology? Whatever expenditure is going to be incurred by the farmer on inputs, whatever expenses are going to be incurred by the farmer, look at the definition. Whatever expenses which are going to be incurred by the farmers on the inputs such as seeds, fertilizer, labor, electricity, etc. Right? All these expenses will be considered. That is called as A2 cost of production. A2 cost of production. Now let me go to the second one here. A2 plus FL. What is this FL? FL stands for family labor. FL stands for family labor. Now let's start. Right? These are the inputs. 1000 rupees that I've paid. I've used 2 units of labor. Now is it also okay if I say that along with the 2 people who are working on the land, I will also work on the land? My spouse will also work on the land. Although she will not be happy, right? She will have a fight with me later regarding this. Right? I will also work on the land. My spouse will also work on the land. Now, how many of you think, along with the 200 rupees paid to the labor, I will pay myself 200, I will pay 200 rupees to my spouse? Is there anyone who says, yes, sir, he will do that? Let me know. Right? I've used 2 people on the land. I'll pay 200 rupees, 200 rupees. And I'll say, I also worked on the land. I'll pat myself on the back, take 200 rupees, pay to myself. Take 200 rupees, give it to my spouse. Right? Then imagine how will I go back to my home after doing that? Right? So I will not do that. I hope you understand. I will not do that. That is basically family labor. That is basically the idea of a family labor. Family labor, that is people who are there in the family are working on the land, but they are not paid the labor. They are not paid the wages. That is where the second methodology will come. I'll take the same numbers, 100 plus 200 plus 300 plus 400. Now I will count myself plus 200. I will count my spouse also plus 200. What is the value now? 1400. This is nothing but A2 plus FL. Any problem in this? This is nothing but A2 plus FL methodology. Right? And remember this, it is this A2 plus FL methodology that is used by the government to announce MSP right now. From the last couple of years, it is this A2 plus FL that is used by the government to announce MSP. Right? How much is the MSP announced? Government will give you the formula like this. MSP is equal to 150% of A2 plus FL. MSP is equal to 150% of A2 plus FL. Now in this example, how much is A2 plus FL? 1400. 150% of 1,400 will be how much? 2,100 rupees. This is how MSP is decided by the government. This is how MSP is announced by the government. Whenever this crop will be procured, government will be paying 2,100 rupees for the crop. Done, right? So this is A2 plus FL. Then there is C2, very comprehensive, very comprehensive. What is the C2? In case of C2, anyways you will count all of this. That is the cost on the family labor, cost on the inputs. You will count all of it. But in addition to this, imagine you are cultivating on your own land. Follow this example carefully. Imagine you are cultivating on your own land. That is, let's say I am cultivating on my own land. Now, rather than me cultivating using my own land, if I had given the land to you, will I be earning rent on it? Let me know. Simple example. Right, in this example, I'm cultivating on my own land. But rather than doing this, if I had given the land to you, will I be getting certain amount of rent from you? Of course, yes. Now, can I say that because I'm using my own land, I will be foregoing rent on this? Is the logic okay? I'll be foregoing rent on this. And for you, you are paying the cost for the seeds. You're also paying for fertilizer. You're paying for electricity, labor, etc. Family labor is also there. Right? Can I also say the rent that you pay is one of the cost for you? I hope you understand. The rent that you pay to me is one of the cost for you. Right? So rent will also be counted now. What about interest? What about interest? Sir, what do you mean by interest here? Let me give a very simple example. Imagine I have 100 rupee. I will take the 100 rupee, keep it in the bank. Will I be earning interest on it? Simple argument here. I have 100 rupee. I'll keep the 100 rupee in the bank. Will I be earning interest on it? Yes. Rather than this, I will use 100 rupee to purchase a tractor. I will use 100 rupee to purchase a tiller. I will use 100 rupee to purchase certain equipment. Now you tell me, will I be earning interest on the tractor? Will I be earning interest on a tiller, etc., etc.? So answer is no, which means I am also foregoing. By investing in agriculture, I'm also foregoing certain interest. You have to count that as well. Right? So the rentals which have been foregone or earned, interest that has been foregone or earned, apart from all these factors, apart from right the labor cost, electricity cost, fertilizer cost, family cost, etc. Now based on this, can I say that C2 will be greater than A2 plus FL? Let me know. Based on this discussion, can I say that C2 will be greater than A2 plus FL? So if they ask you in terms of sequencing, remember this: C2 is the highest. And below C2 we have A2 plus FL, and below A2 plus FL we have A2. But right now, Government of India announces MSP based on A2 plus FL, that is 150% of A2 plus FL. This is how CACP will give recommendation to Government of India, Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs, and the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs will decide, will they pay 100% of MSP, or 100% of cost of production in the form of MSP? Will they pay 200% of cost of production in the form of MSP, or 150% of cost of production in the form of MSP? This is the basic idea how MSP is decided by Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs. Now, does this point make sense to you now? Have a look at this. Under the concerns, will this first point make sense to you? If Government of India provides a legal guarantee to MSP, how much money will be paid by the government? It also depends upon what is the MSP decided by the government. How much is the MSP decided by the government? Will government now shift it to, let's say, A2 as a cost of production? Right? Will Government of India continue with 150% of A2 plus FL as a cost of production? Right? Will government continue with or reduce it to 100% of A2 plus FL? Right? Count it as a cost of production and calculate MSP on this. That also will have an impact on this. Okay, so that is basically the point here. Remember this. Now, last point regarding this. Right? There is certain observations that have been given by NITI Aayog in one of the reports. Please note the observations. Remember the observations. In case of India, more than 80% of the farmers have the knowledge about MSP. In India, more than 80% of the farmers have the knowledge about MSP. But remember this, more than two-thirds of these farmers, rather than selling it to the government under MSP, will sell it in the open market, will sell it to anybody else in the market. Is it okay? This is what NITI Aayog says. One, more than 81% of the farmers, that is more than 4/5 of the farmers in India, have the knowledge about MSP. But two-thirds of the farmers do not sell it to government, they will sell it to anybody else in the open market, others in the market. Why? Why? Right? The question is why? Why is that? Despite having MSP of the government, why will the farmers sell it to others in the market? One, government majorly procures rice and wheat. I hope you understand. Government majorly procures rice and wheat. What if you have cultivated jute? Right? There is no way you can sell it to government now. Second, in many of the states, what generally happens is government will procure and make the payment of MSP on the same day. Understand this? In many of the states, right, when the food grains are procured, the payment is done on the same day. There are certain situations wherein government will procure and make payment after 5 days, after 7 days, after 30 days. Now, if you are a farmer, will you prefer the payment on the same day or after 7 days? Or after 3 days, even after 3 days? You tell me. Right? What would you prefer? As a farmer, what would you prefer? You will prefer the payment on the same day. Now, if the government says, I will not be able to pay it on the same day, I will require 3 days, I will require 5 days. Will you sell it to the government or will you sell it in the market? That argument is that. And understand this, majorly the procurement is centered in surplus states. We have discussed this. Majorly, the procurement is centered in the surplus states. What about farmers in other states? Right? So these are some of the reasons why, right, more than two-thirds of the farmers sell these crops through their own requirement or through their own means, that is in the market, not to the government, to somebody else. What are the other points related to MSP? HLC stands for High Level Committee. High Level Committee. HLC stands for High Level Committee. HLC headed by Shanta Kumar. There's a committee recommendation. We'll come to that in some time. Have patience. So HLC headed by Shanta Kumar has pointed out that only around 6% of the farmers are able to get the benefit of MSP in India. And as per 77th round of NSSO, the percentage of the output sold by the households under MSP varies between 0% to around 25%. Right? For some of the crops, none of it is sold under MSP. For some of the crops, 1/4 of the total production is sold under MSP. Okay? Right? So these are certain other important points regarding the concept of minimum support price. Done? So this is a discussion regarding, right? This is a discussion regarding the concept of MSP. Please be very careful. Questions have been asked in the past and they will continue to be asked even in the future regarding MSP. Now let's start with the next idea here. The argument of food subsidy. Concept of food subsidy. Now what is this idea of food subsidy? Let's start. Government of India, of course, through agencies such as Food Corporation of India. So Government of India will procure food grains, store the food grains, and distribute the food grains. Any problem with this? Government of India will purchase the food grains, will distribute and also store the food grains. Now, is it okay if I say for doing all of it, government will incur expenditure? Anybody here who says no, sir, government will not spend any money here, let me know. Government will incur expenditure. Government will purchase. When they will purchase, they will pay money. Government will transport, they will pay money for this. Government will store, they will have to pay money for this. And government will distribute, again there is an expenditure incurred on this. Right? Follow this discussion very carefully here. Generally, in case of India, the practice is that it is the duty of government of India to purchase as well as store the food grains. I'll repeat it again. It is the duty of the government of India to purchase as well as store the food grains. But the distribution factor, the distribution activity, it is done by the state government. It is done by the state government. Center will purchase, center will procure, center will store, etc. But it is the state government which will identify the beneficiary and distribute the food grains. Any problem? Let me know. The state government will identify beneficiaries and distribute food grains to the beneficiaries. But the fact of the matter is very simple here. Because we are purchasing, we are storing, we are moving, that is, we are transporting, etc. A lot of expenditure is incurred by the government. Now that is point number one. Point number two. Whenever the government will purchase the food grain, all the food grain will not be given to the states for distribution. Right? Remember this. Imagine government will procure 100 tons of a crop. Any crop, don't worry. Imagine government will procure 100 tons of a crop. Government will not give all the 100 tons for the states for distribution purposes. No. Out of this, let's say 20 tons will be stored with the government only. Government will store 20 tons and remaining 80 tons will be given to the states for distribution. Now this 20 tons, I'll call this as a buffer stock. The 20 tons, I'll simply call this as a buffer stock. What is this idea of a buffer stock? Central government will purchase more food grains than what is actually required for distribution purposes. I'll repeat it again. Understand this. What is a buffer stock? Center will purchase or procure more than required food grains. Whatever is required for distribution, more than that they will purchase and simply store them. Simply stock them. Why? What is the advantage here? Government of India says, what if in the coming months suddenly there is a disruption in the supply? I'll give you an example. Right? What if in the coming months there is a sudden disruption in the supply or there is a sudden rise in the demand for food grains? Right? Don't you think currently in the last 1.5 months same thing has happened in the context of wheat? Let me know. In the last 1.5 months, the same thing has happened in the context of wheat. The prices of wheat has increased a lot in the last 2 months. It has increased by 10%, 15%, 18% like this. Why? There's a disruption in the supply. There is expected disruption in the supply. So there is a higher demand, lower supply. What has happened to the market prices? Market prices have started increasing. Now, can you cultivate wheat every day? Right? How many of you think, sir, if the supply is lesser, let's cultivate it. Let's sow the seeds today. Tomorrow morning you'll get it and let's supply it to the market. No. Generally for wheat cultivation, for you to get the harvest, it takes somewhere around 4 to 5 months. 4 to 5 months. So if you start cultivating today, and it's not possible also, you'll have to wait for monsoon. If you start cultivating today, only after 4 months you'll get the wheat in the market. So the argument is simple here. There could be certain emergencies in the market. All of you agree with me now? There could be certain emergencies in the market. There could be a sudden rise in the demand. There could be a disruption in the supply. So at that point of time, what should Government of India do? Government of India says, I will start using the buffer stock. I'll simply start using buffer stock. That is the stocks that I've purchased and I've stored these stocks. I will start using these stocks for distribution purposes, for selling purposes, etc., etc. Right? That's a basic idea why Government of India will maintain a huge quantity in the form of buffer stock. This is advantage related to this. Right? I hope you understand this. This is advantage. That is, if there is a sudden emergency, a mismatch in supply and demand, government can take the buffer stock, start a distribution in the market. But what is the concern related to this? You tell me. Right? Simple question to all of you. You want to use, let's say, rice after 10 months. Right? Look at this example. You want to use the rice. You want to cook the rice after, let's say, 2 months or after 6 months or after 8 months. You will pay the money today, bring the rice, keep it in the home just like this. Don't you think this is not an efficient way to incur expenditure? Let me know. Right? You know that there will be a situation. I hope you understand. There will be a situation in the future where you will require the rice. But you will purchase the rice today, keep the rice in the right. Hope that you will require it after, let's say, 2 months or 3 months, after 4 months. Is it not a methodology where you are not utilizing the resources efficiently? Because government's money is very scarce. Government cannot keep on printing money like this. It will cause a lot of inflation. Government cannot keep on borrowing. So whatever money the government has, they will have to use it very efficiently. But here is a buffer stock where in the expectation of a future event, you have spent money today. Is it not inefficient way? That is the concern. The expenditure is a concern related to buffer stock. Right? I'll connect it to current affairs here. Very recently there was a, just a second. What happened? Okay, suddenly the slide has skipped. Okay, I'll come back to this. Don't worry. Okay, we are here. So very recently there was one current affairs discussion. Open market sale scheme. Open market sale scheme. Right? Again, I'm saying you may not find it in the books, but this was there in the current affairs now. Open market sale scheme. Right? Open market sale scheme is basically a process wherein Food Corporation of India, FCI, Food Corporation of India, will take the buffer stocks or will take the stocks which are stored by the government, will auction them or sell them in the market. Will sell it to, right, let's say, traders in the market so that the supply of the crops suddenly increase. Any problem with this? Let me know. There is a scheme of Government of India, Open Market Sale Scheme, OMSS, which is conducted by FCI. What is the objective of Open Market Sale Scheme? The Food Corporation of India will take the food grains that they are storing, sell it in the market in order to increase the supply of these food grains in the market. That is what exactly has been done very recently in case of wheat. Food Corporation of India sold wheat under the Open Market Sale Scheme in order to increase the supply of wheat. Supply increases, market prices will automatically start cooling down. Right? This is basically the usage of buffer stocks that are maintained by Government of India. Now, what is this idea for food subsidy? Let's start. What is this idea for food subsidy? How food subsidy is calculated? Right? Follow this carefully. Follow this very carefully. There is one term called as issue price. There is a term called as issue price. Sir, what do you mean by issue price? Under the public distribution system, PDS, under public distribution system, government will provide food grain, let's say rice to a beneficiary. Government will provide rice to a beneficiary. Until last year, not this year, until last year, government would impose and collect 3 rupees from the beneficiary. 3 rupees per kg from the beneficiary. Right? I hope you understand this. So under PDS, last year, this year it has been made free of a cost. I'm updating current affairs, read it. This year, it is free of a cost. Right? Only for this year. Again, you do not know what will happen by the end of December, etc., etc. So as per NFSA, National Food Security Act, the government will provide rice at 3 rupees per kg to the beneficiary. I will call this 3 rupee as an issue price. Any problem with this? Let me know. I will call this 3 rupee as an issue price. What about wheat? Under National Food Security Act, wheat will be provided at 2 rupees per kg. 2 rupees per kg. And coarse grains are supposed to be distributed under National Food Security Act at 1 rupee per kg. At 1 rupee per kg. Now these are 3 rupees, 2 rupees, and 1 rupee. This is called as issue price. All these are called as issue price. This is point number 1. Point number 2. This is point number 1. Point number 2. When the government will purchase the food grains, will they pay money or not? Think of it. When the government will purchase the food grain, will the government pay money for this or not? Of course, answer is yes. Can I say it is MSP? Done. Can I say this as MSP? Procurement cost. But apart from the central government, what if even the states are paying bonus? That is also part of the procurement. If the states are paying bonus, that is also part of the procurement only. This is called as procurement cost. This is referred to as procurement cost. Now have a look at the next point here. Imagine you are the Food Corporation of India. I am the farmer in the market. You will come to me and purchase the food grain from me. You will purchase the food grain from me. And you will pay MSP to me. Now, point number 2, will you not transport the food grain to your warehouse? Let me know. Will you not transport the food grains? And if you are going to transport food grain, again expenditure is incurred there. For example, you will have to incur bagging expenditure. Bagging means food grains are put into jute bags. For that, again expenditure is incurred. What about labor charges? What about labor charges? Because you are IS officer, you cannot lift these bags and put it in the lorry or the truck. You will call 4 people, right? You will simply say, put these bags in the lorry now. Now, when they provide those services, you have to pay them labor charges. You will have to pay for transportation of the lorry. Then you will have to pay for transportation also. And in addition to this, you will also have to pay certain charges to the market. I'll come to this. You will have to pay certain charges to the market. Sir, what is this charges to the market? Taxes in the market. Now follow this carefully. The farmer will bring the crop in a market which is called as a mandi. APMC mandi. Have you heard of this or not? APMC, Agriculture Produce Market Committee. I'll come to that also later. The farmer will bring the crop in the market, APMC yard. The Food Corporation of India will purchase it from the farmers. But because the transaction is happening in a market, it is happening in a market, that is infrastructure provided by the APMC, you will pay certain charges to APMC. Done? Any problem with this? You will pay certain charges to APMC. So these are the taxes or the charges that you're paying. I will call all of these as a procurement incidentals. I will call all of these as procurement incidentals. Procurement incidentals. Is it done? Absolutely no. Half of the work is done. You have basically purchased, paid MSP, you have put them in the bag, you have put the bags in the lorry or the truck now. The truck has started moving, it will reach Godown. Now, right, point number 4, storage cost. Because you're going to use a Godown, you'll have to pay or you'll have to incur certain storage cost. What about, again, the transportation cost? Again, the cost of transportation. Again, labor charges, etc. All these are called as distribution cost. All these are referred to as distribution cost. Right, that is, the food grains will reach Godown. You will keep the bags in the Godown. Now again, you'll remove the bags, take it to respective states and start distributing the food grains to the buyers. That is the beneficiaries. Right, that is basically the idea of a distribution cost. Any problem with any one of these? Because I'll start putting it in the formula now. I'll start putting it in the form of formula. Right, basic point two basically says you will purchase food grains, you'll have to put them in a jute bag. Cost is incurred. You have to put the bags in the truck. Labor charges are incurred. You are doing all of this in the APMC market, which is set up by the state government. You'll have to pay taxes or the charges to the APMC. Okay, right. So these are the various aspects, or let's say various types of expenditures that the government will incur. Now look at this very carefully. When last year, government will purchase, store, and distribute food grains. Right, simple example. Government will purchase, store, and distribute food grains, and when they distributed, they got certain amount of money from the beneficiaries. Is it okay? Is it okay? Right. Point number 1. Last year, Government of India purchased the food grains. Let's say NFSA. Don't say Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana, because Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana, it was free of a cost. But under NFSA, National Food Security Act, that basically the rice was given at 3 rupees per kg, wheat was given at 2 rupees per kg, and coarse grains was distributed at 1 rupees per kg. Right, sir? What do you mean by that? If I'm the beneficiary, you will give me 1 kg of rice, I will give you 3 rupees for it. You give me 1 kg of a weight, I will give you 2 rupees for it. That is the issue price. Now imagine the situation and let me know. Have a look at this. Government of India will procure, will distribute food grains and collect a certain charges. Issue prices. Right. So until last year, government used to earn a certain amount of money. But of course, the price of procurement, distribution, storage, etc. would be much higher than what is the price they are going to get. For example, let's say 1 kg of rice. Look at this very carefully. 1 kg of rice. Let's say MSP is 20 rupees. Bonus is 10 rupees. The distribution cost is another 10 rupees. And the procurement incidentals are, let's say, 5 rupees. Now, how much is the total expenditure incurred by the government? How much is the total expenditure incurred by the government here? 20 plus 10 plus 10 plus 5. That would be 45 rupees. Any difficulty? The total expenditure incurred by the government would be how much? 20 plus 10 plus 10 plus 5. That is 45 rupees. I will call this as economic cost of the food grains. Economic cost of food grains. ECFG. Economic cost of food grains. But when the government will distribute this 1 kg of rice to a beneficiary, will the government collect 45 rupees? I hope you understand. If the government is going to distribute this particular 1 kg of rice to a beneficiary, will government collect 45? Will government say 45 plus 5 rupee profit I want to earn? No. Government will simply issue this, sell this 1 kg of rice, let's say at 3 rupees to the beneficiary. At 3 rupees, that is the beneficiary will pay 3 rupees to the government and the beneficiary will be given, right, 1 kg of rice. Now, can I simply say the total amount of expenditure on the food incurred by the government in this example will be 42 rupees? Any problem? Let me know. The total amount of expenditure for the government to provide this 1 kg of rice to the beneficiary, it is 42 rupees. This is nothing but food subsidy. This is nothing but food subsidy. This is basically the idea of a food subsidy. Any problem? Right. Bonus is given to, my dear, please revise. You are not revising. It simply means you are not revising. We have discussed bonus yesterday. In the morning also I told you bonus is given by the state government to the farmers who will sell it. Right. So the example, in this example, what is the food subsidy incurred by the government here? Food subsidy incurred by the government is 42 rupees. Point number 1. Point number 2. What if Government of India increases the MSP? Let me know. What if Government of India increases the MSP? What will happen to food subsidy incurred by the government? Assuming everything else remains same. Nothing changes. Only MSP increases. You tell me what will happen to food subsidy of the government? It will increase. All of you agree? It will increase. What if petrol and diesel prices will go up in the market? What if petrol and diesel prices will go up in the market? What will happen to food subsidy of government of India? It will increase. It should increase, by the way. So how it will increase? Cost of transportation. Cost of transportation. So understand the problem here. Over last decade, in the last decade, government of India has kept on increasing MSP. Right? The petrol and diesel prices have varied, but the issue price has not changed. Issue price has not changed. Under NFSA, National Food Security Act, which was introduced from 2013, government has announced issue price of 3 rupees per kg of rice, 2 rupees per kg of wheat, and 1 rupees per kg of coarse grains. Issue price has not changed. Whereas MSP has increased, cost of transportation has increased. Now, don't you think food subsidy bill of government of India will be higher? Food subsidy bill of government of India would be higher. Now, let me complicate it a bit more here. Have a look at this. Government of India runs a public distribution system. Under public distribution system, we have 5 kgs of food grains which are issued at issue price. Right? And we also have Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana. Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana, where there is no issue price is 0. Right? During the pandemic, government of India introduced the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana, under which the 5 kgs of food grains are provided free of a cost. Absolutely no charges. Now you tell me what will happen to food subsidy bill of the government. Food subsidy bill of the government will balloon. I hope you understand. Food subsidy bill of the government will balloon, will increase by a lot. Now look at the beauty of the policy followed by the government now. And look at the beauty of this policy. Government for this year said, we will not have Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana. I hope you understand. Government said, we will not have Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana. I take the same number and think of this. Where, let's say 45 rupees worth of food grain is provided free of a cost. 45 rupees worth of food grain is provided free of a cost. Rather, what I will do is, I will subsume Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana under National Food Security Act. NFSA, National Food Security Act. Now, people will rebel against it. People will oppose it. People will say this is not a people-friendly government. This is anti-people government, anti-poor government, etc., etc. But what government said is, I will subsume it under the NFSA. I will make this 5 kgs of food grain under NFSA free of a cost. Understand this carefully. Right? The 5 kgs of food grains which are provided under National Food Security Act, I will provide it free of a cost. Free of a cost means what? Until now, I collected 3 rupees for every kg of rice. I will not collect that also. I will give it free of a cost. Now look at this and let me know. Apply CSAT. Apply CSAT. Government earlier, last year, provided rice under NFSA, collected 3 rupees. Government, right, would also distribute under Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana and collect 0 rupees under this. Now government says, I will not have Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana. I'll bring it under NFSA. And because right, it is brought under NFSA, I will provide food grains, 5 kgs of food grains, free of a cost. Now you tell me, because of this, will the subsidy burden of the government increase or decrease? Let me know. Because of this, will the subsidy burden of the government increase or decrease? Right, think of it. Apply CSAT knowledge, think of it and let me know. The subsidy burden of the government will decrease. It will not increase. It will decrease. Let me prove it. Let me prove it to you. Subsidy burden of the government will not increase. It will decrease, my dear. You'll ask me, how, sir? Very difficult. How? Imagine a situation. Here is government. I'll take simple numbers so that you understand. You take 45 rupees only. Right, here is a beneficiary. This beneficiary will be provided, let's say, 1 kg of rice, 1 kg of rice under NFSA. 1 kg of rice under NFSA. Which means the government of India will incur a cost of 45, will distribute the rice and collect 3 rupees. How much is the subsidy burden? Let me know. How much is the subsidy burden? Subsidy burden is 42 rupees. 1 kg. And this beneficiary, imagine he is also covered under Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana. How much is the subsidy burden? Because of Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana, another 45 rupees. Another 45 rupees. So total, how much is the subsidy burden for the government here? 87 rupees. Subsidy burden on the government is 87 rupees. On the other hand, now government says, no more Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana. I will subsume it under NFSA. I'll simply bring it under NFSA. But what I will do under NFSA is, I'm distributing rice here. I will not collect anything now. I will distribute it free of a cost to the beneficiary. Now have a look at this. If this 1 kg is provided free of a cost to the beneficiary, right, don't you think now government will incur only the subsidy burden of 45 rupees? Let me know. Right, don't you think the government of India will incur a subsidy burden of only 45 rupees per kg rather than incurring earlier 45 plus 42? Now you tell me, under this mechanism, the new mechanism where the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana has been brought under the NFSA, will the subsidy burden increase or decrease for the government compared to last year? Compared to last year, subsidy burden will come down. Subsidy burden will actually come down. Right, so remember, it's basically a fiscally prudent move. Fiscally, it makes sense for the government. Government has beautifully placed it like this, marketed it like this, say that free of a cost. I will give you 5 kgs free of a cost now. Right, don't worry, everybody under NFSA will get free of a cost. Right, but what is the move on the other side? The Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana, it has been subsumed. Right, it has been subsumed under NFSA now. Done? Okay. Right, so that is the discussion in the current affairs. Please be very careful. Please be very careful. And it has been proven. It has been proven. With the data, they have proved it. Again, assuming nothing else changes in next year. I hope you understand. Nothing else will change. Right, assuming it remains the same like last year, government will have more savings, or the burden of the government of India under free food grain subsidy will actually come down. Okay. So that is the discussion regarding the concept of food subsidy. Have a look at the slide here. Food subsidy, how do we calculate it? First, we will calculate economic cost of food grains. That is the total cost which is incurred by the Food Corporation of India. It will consist of acquisition cost, distribution cost. Acquisition cost, basically it includes the procurement cost, the procurement incidentals, etc., as well as the distribution cost. Right, the food subsidy. Food subsidy is basically right, the subsidy that is incurred by the government when the food grains are distributed, and even on that where food grains are procured and stored in the form of the buffer stock. Is it okay? The food subsidy is basically the subsidy on government distributing the food grain plus that the expenditure that they have incurred on the buffer stock. That is basically how the food subsidy is calculated by the government here. Okay. So please be very, very careful. I think I've given a graph here. Let me see. Have a look at this. Please have a look at this. Initially, when we introduced the concept of NFSA, when we introduced the concept of National Food Security Act, we expected that the food subsidy bill for the government of India would be somewhere around 90,000 crore rupees. Somewhere around 90,000 crore rupees. But have a look at what has happened to food subsidy bill or food subsidy burden of government of India. The food subsidy burden or the bill for government of India has kept on increasing. Now you tell me, food subsidy bill, is it a part of capital expenditure or revenue expenditure? I hope you understand. Is it a part of capital expenditure or revenue expenditure? It is a part of revenue expenditure. Should we control our revenue expenditures or keep on increasing our revenue expenditures? We should be able to optimize it. We should be able to control it. What has happened to food subsidy bill in 2021, 21 and 22? Please have a look at it. It has continuously kept on increasing. It has continuously kept on increasing. And again, sir, don't keep on asking, sir. Every time, don't keep on asking why 2021 this kind of a spike is there. You already know the answer. In every parameter of Government of India, talk about inflation, GDP, any parameter, you will see, right, a certain outlier event for 2021, 21 and 22 like this. It will be happening. Okay, right? So this is a burden for the Government of India. Government of India is trying to reduce it. Now, what is this public distribution system? What is this idea of PDS? Public distribution system, basically, it's a system which has been implemented by the government. It has been implemented by the government, wherein government will procure, store, and distribute the food grains to various beneficiaries. I hope you understand. I'll repeat the definition here. What is public distribution system? Look at the name itself. Public distribution system is a process wherein, or it refers to a system wherein government will purchase food grains, store, and distribute the food grains to various beneficiaries under schemes. Now, what are the steps under the public distribution system? Here is a Food Corporation of India, FCI. FCI will purchase the food grain from the farmer. Now, center will basically allocate the food grains to the state government because the state government has the duty of identifying the beneficiaries. I'll repeat. The food grains has to be distributed by the state government, and the state government has the duty of identifying the beneficiaries. So, state government will be setting up fair price shops, and these fair price shops will be distributing these food grains to various beneficiaries. This is basically how the public distribution system will work. But let me add one more point here. Whenever procurement is done, procurement means purchasing. It is done generally in two ways. One is called as centralized procurement. One is referred to as centralized procurement, and the second one is called as decentralized procurement. One is centralized, second one is decentralized procurement. What happens in a centralized procurement? Food Corporation of India or central government agencies will procure the food grains. Simple. Look at the name there. Centralized procurement. So the Food Corporation of India or the agencies of the central government will procure the food grains. Now we will allocate food grains to various state governments. What about decentralized procurement? The state government agencies, the state government will procure food grains, give it to FCI, allocate it to Food Corporation of India. Now Food Corporation of India will distribute these food grains for various state governments. Any difficulty? Let me know. Right? The centralized procurement, central government agencies such as Food Corporation of India will purchase. What about a decentralized procurement? State government agencies will procure, give it to FCI. We'll simply refer to this as central pool of food grains. FCI, right, will basically take all these food grains. This is called a central pool of food grains. Now it is the Food Corporation of India which will simply allocate it to, right, the state governments. Now many of you ask me, sir, why is the state government doing it? What is the advantage for the state government, etc., etc. Right, the central government will pay charges, commission. Charges or commission will be paid to the state government whenever there is a decentralized procurement. Is it okay? Right, the central government will basically be paid commission or charges by the central government whenever the procurement is done. So centralized procurement, decentralized procurement. Now let's start. There is this idea of a NFSA, National Food Security Act. Now understand this, it is an act. I hope you understand the problem here. It is an act. Under act, various provisions are there. Right, it says that food grains have to be distributed. Food grains have to be distributed. Is it okay if I say, because there is an act, now we have a public distribution system using which we are distributing food grains? I hope you understand. Even before the NFSA also we had public distribution system. But what we have done under NFSA, we have consolidated the framework like this. Who has to be given the food grains? How many beneficiaries have to be identified? Who has to identify it? How many kgs will have to provide, etc., etc. Meaning what? Now we are providing certain legal protection. We are providing legal protection or entitlement to the beneficiaries. We are providing certain legal protection or entitlement to the beneficiaries. That is, if I am covered under NFSA, if I am one of the beneficiaries under NFSA, it is my legal right to get 5 kgs of food grains every month. I hope you understand this. If I'm one of the beneficiaries under National Food Security Act, it is now my legal right. It's not any charity of the government. It is my legal right to get 5 kgs of food grains every month from the government. That is why the NFSA is very, very important. National Food Security Act. Now, what are the provisions under National Food Security Act? Point number 1. 2/3 of the total population will be covered under NFSA. 2/3 of the total population will be covered under NFSA. Now, 2/3 of what population? 2/3 of 2021 population? 2/3 of 2023 population? No. 2/3 of 2011 population. 2/3 of 2011 population. Sir, why are you taking 2011 population? When was the last census, population census conducted in India? Let me know. When was the last population census conducted? 2011. After that, we are yet to conduct and consolidate the census data. So we are using 2011 census population. Now here itself, let me know. You are in 2023. You are using the population census of 2011. Don't you think there will be certain issues with the coverage under NFSA? I'll repeat the statement here. Like, think of it. You are in 2023. You are using the population data from 2011. Here itself, can you find a problem with this system? That is, right, the coverage. Coverage means how many people are covered under NFSA. There's a problem with this. Of course, yes. Right, because you're using a very, very old data of 2011 population. You are in 2023. Don't you think population would have been changed? Because as per 2011 population, right, so 2011 census, India's population was 1.21 billion. How many of you agree that even today it is 1.21 billion? Anybody who yes says, right, no sir, India's population has actually decreased, right, it is less than 1 billion, it is half a billion now. Of course, no, it is much, much higher than 1.2 billion. Right, so argument is simple, population is covered of 2011, there are certain problems with the population coverage. Point number 1. Point number 2, now think of it and tell me, you are supposed to cover 2/3 of total population in India. How many of you believe that we should cover same population in urban India as well as rural India? How many of you believe that, right, what is fair is, we should cover equal population from urban India as well as rural India? That is, let's say, you want to cover 60 people, you will cover 30 people from rural part, 30 people from urban part. Does it make fair? Does it promote equity? Of course, no. Why? Point number 1. Where do you think per capita incomes are higher? Urban or rural? Per capita incomes. Obviously urban. Where do you think population is very high? Urban or rural? Rural. Where do you think poverty is very high? Again rural. Right, so that is the reason. Remember this, 75% of rural population will be covered and 50% of urban population will be covered. But who is going to identify who is the beneficiary? Who will be identifying who is the right beneficiary? It will be the state governments which will be identifying who are the right beneficiaries. Center will not identify it. States will identify the beneficiaries. Next, all the beneficiaries which are covered under the NFSA. Every beneficiary who is part of NFSA 5 kgs of food grains will be distributed per month to these beneficiaries. 5 kgs of food grains. Now please understand this, as per NFSA, I repeat, as per NFSA, whenever the food grains are distributed, rice has to be given at 3 rupees per kg, wheat has to be given at 2 rupees per kg, and coarse grains have to be distributed at 1 rupees per kg. This is as per NFSA. But for this year, what has the Government of India done? Government of India says, I will not be imposing any charges, I'll be distributing it free of a cost. Now next year, what the government will do, neither do you know, nor do I know. But these are the facts, remember this. Next important point, poorest of the poor will continue to be covered under Antyodaya Anna Yojana. Now what is this Antyodaya Anna Yojana? Please understand this. Right? Let me know the answer, whether this is correct, fair or not. Here are two beneficiaries. First beneficiary is a rickshaw puller. Right? And there is one more beneficiary who earns, let's say per day 200 rupees. Or let's make it a bigger number, let's say per day 500 rupees. Now how many of you believe that Government of India should provide same number of food grains to both of them? Right? I hope you understand. Right? How many of you believe that Government of India should provide the same entitlement to both of them? Is it fair? Is it promoting equity? Of course no. Right? Government of India should focus more on these rickshaw pullers. All of you agree? Government of India should focus more on these rickshaw pullers. Right? That is the reason there is one more scheme by the name of Antyodaya Anna Yojana. Antyodaya Anna Yojana. AAY. Antyodaya Anna Yojana. Before you start typing the long form. Just give me a second. I think it is there in the slide. Let me show it to you. Just checking whether it is there or not. Okay, it is not there. I'll write it then. Antyodaya Anna Yojana. If it is not there, I'll write it. Antyodaya Anna Yojana. Now who are the beneficiaries under Antyodaya Anna Yojana? Poorest of the poor. Right? Poorest of the poor. Within the poverty also, there are certain people who are very, very poor. Poorest of the poor will be classified under Antyodaya Anna Yojana scheme, and they'll be provided, right? The household will be provided not with 5 kgs per person, that is under Antyodaya Anna Yojana per household. Remember this, per household, 35 kgs of food grains will be provided. Per household, 35 kgs will be provided. Right? Generally, in case of other people, that is, let's say, I'll just take a simple idea here. Imagine 2 beneficiaries are there. Right? Or imagine 2 houses are there. Imagine 2 houses are there covered under the NFSA. So the one which is covered under priority household, they will be given 35 kgs. Those which are not covered as a priority, those which are covered under Antyodaya Anna Yojana, it is 35 kgs. Those which are not covered under Antyodaya Anna Yojana but covered under NFSA, these will be provided 5 kgs per person. 5 kgs per person. This is an entitlement. Please remember this. This is how the food grains are provided. If you are poorest of the poor, that household will get 35 kgs of food grains. Right? And right, if you are not covered under Antyodaya, but you are covered under National Food Security Act, you will be referred as a priority household, PHH. And right, for them, 5 kgs per person will be distributed. Right? And the prices are given here, but for this year, it will be 0. It will be 0 for this year. Now look at my next point and let me know, how many of you believe that in every state, same food grain should be distributed? Let me know. How many of you believe that in every state, same food grain should be distributed? That is, let's say, 5 kgs of rice, 5 kgs of rice, 5 kgs of rice, or 5 kgs of wheat, 5 kgs of wheat, etc. No, you should not believe that. Why? Can I say that consumption pattern from one state to another state will change? What is consumed in one state, it could be majorly rice. So in that state, they will promote rice consumption using NFSA. In some states, it could be majorly consuming wheat. So they will promote more and more wheat distribution under NFSA. So if you ask me, sir, in which state what is distributed, it will vary from one state to another state. Do not worry, it will vary from one state to another state. Now, there is a redressal mechanism. What is the redressal mechanism? Imagine you are a beneficiary. You are supposed to get 5 kgs, but you have not received the 5 kgs. You have received certain food grains, but the quality of food grains is very, very bad. You have a grievance. You have a complaint. So what is the mechanism? At the district level, one officer is appointed, district grievance redressal officer. At the state level, there is one more officer appointed. You can also approach, if the DGRO doesn't resolve it, you can also approach state grievance redressal officer. And finally, under National Food Security Act, it will propose usage of Aadhaar, propose usage of information communication technology for having a better implementation of public distribution system. Done. So these are certain very, very important points regarding National Food Security Act. Now, what are the reforms which have been implemented? Right? What are the reforms which have been implemented recently to promote the National Food Security Act or public distribution system? I'll discuss 2 very important reforms here. One is One Nation, One Ration Card. Long form is here on the right side of the slide. Please have a look at it. One Nation, One Ration Card. And the second one is Annapurti ATM Grain. Annapurti ATM Grain. Let me start with One Nation, One Ration Card. Let me start with a very simple example here. Imagine here is a house. Okay, imagine there is one house in the village. And this house, 5 beneficiaries are there. One second. Okay, imagine this is the state 1. And within the state 1, there is a village. Okay, there is a village. And in the village, there is one house. Let's say there are 5 people in the house. There are 5 people in the house. All the 5 are covered under National Food Security Act. Which means per month, let me know, per month, can I say that they will get 25 kgs of food grains? Is it okay? Per month, they will get 25 kgs of food grains. Now, one of the 5 people will migrate from state 1 to state 2. One of the person, let's say this month, will migrate from state 1 to state 2. Now, is it okay if I say when the person will migrate, the person wants 5 kgs of food grains here? Is it okay? The person has migrated from state 1 to state 2. The person wants to use the same NFSA and get 5 kgs of food grain. But what is the problem here? Look at this. What is the problem? Question number 1. Who will identify the beneficiaries? I'll repeat the question. Answer to this. Who will identify the beneficiaries? State government. Now, this person who is identified as a beneficiary in state 1, is he the beneficiary in state 2? Let me know. This person, he has been identified as a beneficiary in state 1. Is he a beneficiary in state 2? No. State 2 has not identified him as a beneficiary. Now, don't you think there's a problem of getting food grains in the state 2? And is it a common problem in India? You tell me. Is migration commonly observed in India or not? Are people from some of the states moving to other states in search of livelihood or not? It's a very, very common occurrence in India. But the problem was, this person is not a beneficiary in state 2, beneficiary in state 1. Now, how can he get access to food grains in the second state? That is the precise reason Government of India has introduced ONORC, One Nation, One Ration. Right? One Nation, One Ration card, which will facilitate portability of the ration cards. Portability of the ration cards. Portability of the ration cards. Portability means what? Right? Have you ported your SIM? Right? Have you ported your SIMs? Earlier, you were a customer of Airtel. Earlier, you were a customer of Vodafone. Right? Jio entered into the picture. Most of you ported your number to Jio. Most of you jumped to Jio like this. Portability means what? Right? The service supplier will change. Simple. The service supplier will change. You'll continue the benefits, but the service supplier will change. Now, what will happen here? Follow this very carefully. Imagine I'm that migrant beneficiary. I've moved from state 1 to state 2. Now I will go to the fair price shop. I'll go to the fair price shop. I will provide my Aadhaar credential. Simple. I will provide my thumbprint. That is Aadhaar credential. Now you are that shopkeeper. Once I provide the thumbprint, the system will show that I'm a beneficiary. The system will basically show that I'm a beneficiary. So what you will do? You will give me 5 kgs of food grains. Now is it okay? Despite me not being in the same village, despite me being in, let's say, in one more state or one more district of a same state, doesn't matter. I will continue to get the entitlement of food grains. Any issue here? Let me know. What is happening in the One Nation One Ration card? I might be moving from this village to one more district within the same state. Or I might be moving from this state to another state. Earlier, the problem was the beneficiaries could not be identified by the fair price shop because they have moved to another state. Now what will happen? Doesn't matter. You are a beneficiary in state 1, state 2, state 3, doesn't matter. If you have gone to state 4, you can provide your Aadhaar credentials and get access to your entitlement, that is your food grains. Right? This concept is called as One Nation, One Ration Card, ONORC. Government introduced this ONORC in 2019, and as of now, all the states in India have implemented ONORC. Assam was the last state to implement ONORC. Please be very careful. All the states in India have implemented ONORC. Then all the states have implemented ONORC. Right? Now remember which is the authority responsible for ONORC, or which is the department under which the food grain distribution will actually come. If I ask you a question, which of the following ministries is responsible for the implementation of National Food Security Act, most of you will choose Agriculture Ministry. I hope you understand it, because you believe it is basically practically correct. Right? Agriculture sector, distribution of food grain, you believe it is Ministry of Agriculture. Absolutely no. It is the Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food Distribution. Ministry of Consumer Affairs and Food and Public Distribution. Please be very careful. These are very easy questions. But sometimes, because you do not know the practicality behind it, you'll end up making a mistake. It is this ministry which is responsible for implementation of this. Done? Right? So system will run, all the system will run with the support of two background systems here. One is called as IMPDS, Integrated Management of Public Distribution System, and second one is called as Anna Vitran Portal. What's the use of both of these systems? Whenever food grains are distributed to beneficiaries, which are basically interstate transaction. Interstate means, in this example, imagine I'm in state 1, I will move to state 2, I will get the 5 kgs in the second state. Can I call this as an interstate transaction? Interstate transaction. All the interstate transactions are recorded in the IMPDS. These are kept under IMPDS. And we have one more portal here, Anna Vitran Portal. All the inter-district transactions, interstate transactions are recorded on the Anna Vitran Portal. So why two different portals like this? Basically for distribution planning. For planning for the distribution. Right? For example, as a central government, don't you want to find out how many beneficiaries are moving from one state to another state so that you can allocate more food grains to the second state? Right? That is the reason for better planning, management of the public distribution system. We have two systems here, IMPDS as well as Anna Vitran Portal. Okay, so this is one very important reform. Second very important reform, which was there very recently in the newspaper, was Annapurti Grain ATM. Now, before I start the discussion, can everybody see the picture of a machine here? Let me know. Can everybody see the picture of a machine? Right, there is a machine picture. Now, what is this Annapurti Grain ATM? Right, look at the term ATM. Right, you can go to the ATM, withdraw money. Apply the same logic here. In this Grain ATM, the beneficiaries under NFSA can get access to their food grains, their entitlement of food grains. So why it has been introduced? One, we want to make it easier for the beneficiaries to go to the shops and get the access to food grains. Earlier, I'm pretty sure some of you must have seen it. Earlier, what will happen is, here is a fair price shop. In fact, I'll show the picture only. Have a look at this. Here's the fair price shop. Here is a fair price shop. Two beneficiaries are standing in front of the fair price shop. Can you see that? Two beneficiaries are standing in front of the fair price shop. That is, people will queue up. People will have to wait in the line. People will have to spend certain time to get access to their food grains, to get access to their entitlement. Now, rather than person distributing the food grain, what if I install a machine where you will go, you are a beneficiary, you will provide your thumbprint, and the system knows that you are a beneficiary, you are supposed to get 5 kgs of food grain. The machine will automatically dispense. Can you see the bottom part here? The machine automatically will dispense 5 kgs of food grain into your bag. Now, tell me, will the waiting time be cut or not? Let me know. Will the waiting time in front of the fair price shop, will it be cut or not? Of course, yes. Point number two, this is much more important. What if this particular shopkeeper is using a faulty weighing machine? I hope you understand this. What if the shopkeeper who will weigh 5 kgs like this, he is using a faulty weighing machine? That is, it is not actually 5 kgs, it is actually 4 kgs. That you must have seen in various movies. They will attach a magnet here, that here, etc., etc. So there could be a leakage in the system. You are supposed to get 5 kgs, you will end up getting 4.5 kgs. Right? And don't say, sir, I will take the food grain, go to my home, again I will weigh. Right? As if you are weighing, let's say you have a weighing machine in your home. Absolutely no. People will be cheated. Right? The people are getting cheated because of this. Beneficiaries are getting cheated because of this. Now government says, I will eliminate human interface. I'll simply eliminate the requirement of a shopkeeper. I'll simply install a machine. Machine itself will weigh 5 kgs and give it to you. Right? I hope you understand. Right? So this is advantage of Annapurti Grain ATMs. Annapurti Grain ATMs. These are slowly and steadily coming up in various states now. These Annapurti Grain ATMs are being installed now. Done? Right? So these are the two very important reforms which have been implemented by the government in the last couple of years in order to make public distribution system, or let's say NFSA implementation, much more better, much more efficient. Okay. Next is the concept of agriculture credit. But before that, let's take a break. Let me address your questions. After that, we'll take a break. This year, no pandemic. And also, why the government had foregone even the issue price. And I told you, right? Government of India says there are two systems which are being implemented. One is NFSA, under which I'm giving you 5 kgs, charging you money. I'm giving you Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana, under which I'm giving you free food grains, right? 5 kgs. So government of India has a huge burden, huge expenditure, subsidy burden. So government says, let me discontinue PMGKY. I hope you understand. And remember this. It's very easy for the government to announce a subsidy. Very, very difficult to withdraw subsidy. I hope you understand. It's very, very easy to announce the subsidies, very difficult to withdraw subsidies. That's the reason there's a very famous statement related to subsidies. Subsidies are a delight for politicians and a nightmare for economists. I'll repeat the statement here. Subsidies are a delight for politicians, but a nightmare for economists. Right? Because imagine, right? Let's say you become IAS officer, you are your economic affairs secretary now. Your economic affairs secretary under the Ministry of Finance. Don't you think increasing subsidy burden is your headache? I hope you understand. Increasing subsidy burden is a headache for you, but for the politicians, it's a delight for them. They'll keep on announcing subsidy, right? You want here, take it. Idhar chahiye, le lo. You want there, take it. But for economists, fiscal deficit, revenue deficit. What about FRBM, etc., like this, right? So these are a politicians' delight, but a nightmare for economists, right? That's the reason earlier, because of pandemic, government to provide certain relief had introduced PMGKY. But if they suddenly withdraw that, people will oppose it. People will not be happy with that. That's the reason. Government of India used this policy where they said, I will subsume it under NFSA, but under NFSA I was charging you earlier. I was collecting certain amount of money. I will make it free of cost now. Right? So by the time people realize whether they are going to get the benefit or they are going to be affected by this, they were attracted by the term free of cost under NFSA. But again, don't write all of this in your PSC. Don't write all of this. Basically, you're making a political argument. Don't do that. Okay. If government is not procuring a jute, then why jute is included in the MSP? Because government of India says, in the market there has to be a reference point. I hope you understand. In the market, something has to be used as a reference point. For example, you take a jute to the market. What is the reference point? How do you decide the prices? Right? That's the reason some reference point has to be there. I'm not procuring, but I will announce the MSP so that the market will use this as a reference point. Okay. Why 10% de-minimis level for amber boxes? My dear, yesterday we have discussed it, no? Right? You cannot simply bring it to 0%. You cannot reduce it to 0%. Countries will provide amber box subsidies. So for developing countries, it was fixed at 10%. For developed countries, of course, these are developed countries. Lesser than that, 5%. Okay. Why government does not procure jute? You tell me why should government procure jute? Rather than asking why government doesn't procure jute, you tell me why should government procure jute? Is government of India in the process of right, selling jute to the let's say beneficiaries under NFSA? Right? Where is the argument there? So if government of India procures food grains under MSP within 10% limit, can it be exported? No, because government pays MSP. If government is paying market prices, that's a different issue. Government pays MSP, government will not be allowed to export it. Making it free of cost may make people more dependent on the government. Again and again, they will assume it will get free. Again, you'll have to wait and see whether government will continue it free of cost or it will make it only for 1 year. Again, as of now, I'm simply saying, as of now, it is only for 1 year. Okay. What is IMPDS? IMPDS, Integrated Management of Public Distribution System. It's a portal, it's a website where all the interstate transactions, that is, imagine migrant labor, they've moved from one state to another state, they will get the 5 kgs in the second state. All those transactions will be right recorded in the IMPDS system. Okay. So even now per kg 1 rupees charge, even government merged in FCI. Please understand this, the distribution is done by the state government. Center says I will give it free of cost. If you are being charged, then ask your state government. And the central government says it will be provided free of cost. Okay, done. So let's take a break now. Let's take a break. I'll start at 8:05. I'll start at 8:05. Okay. credit. Whenever the banks will provide loans, let's say credit. Okay, let's start. Am I audible? Let me know. Okay, let's start. So next concept, agriculture credit. Now what do you mean agriculture credit? Simple. Whenever in the agriculture sector, loans are provided. Loans are provided to agriculture sector. Now what is the issue here? Right, whenever loans are provided, you can divide these loans or the credit in the agriculture sector into two types. One, institutional loans and informal loans, or institutional credit and informal credit. What do you mean by institutional credit? Whenever the loans are provided by, let's say, banks. For example, SBI, State Bank of India, that is, or let's say Canara Bank, Dena Bank, Bank of Baroda, right? Or let's say even regional rural bank, right? Cooperative bank. Whenever the banks will provide loans, we generally classify them as institutional or formal credit. And whenever the farmers will take the loans, let's say from money lenders, friends and family, right? Family and friends will refer to this kind of a credit as informal credit. Informal credit. Now, what is the reason? What is the basic classification here? Whenever you get the loans from the formal sector, formal credit like this, rate of interest applicable is very, very low. Remember this. Rate of interest applicable is very low. Whereas if you take the loans from, let's say, money lender or friends and family, rate of interest applicable is very high. Rate of interest applicable is very high. Let me give you a data here. As per Reserve Bank of India, whenever informal sources are tapped, whenever the farmers will borrow from informal sources, rate of interest applicable is generally in the range of 24% to 36%. I repeat, whenever the farmers will borrow from informal sources, right, the rate of interest applicable on this loan is in the range of 24 to 36%. Whereas when they will take the loan from, let's say, banks, rate of interest is less than 10%. It is less than or below 10% rate of interest. So rate of interest applicable on formal, very low, informal, very high. But now some of you will ask me, sir, if the rate of interest is very high under informal, why do the farmers take loan from there? Why is that farmers will end up taking loan from informal sources? Reasons as stated by RBI are: one, not all the farmers will have security or collateral. I hope you understand. Not all the farmers will have a security or collateral, because if you want to take a loan from a bank, generally the bank will insist on a security, will insist on a collateral. How many of you think all the farmers in India can provide a collateral to government? Collateral to the banks? No, not possible. Point number one. Point number two, you're a farmer. You want to get access to loan, you will go to the bank. Bank will ask you to fill up a lot of documents. Bank will ask you to wait for a certain number of days. Bank will ask certain proof from your side, etc., etc., etc. So do you think farmers will be able to do all of these procedures? Answer is again no. That is the precise reason. Despite so many reforms, that are being taken by government as well as RBI, even today, substantial number of farmers, a large chunk of the farmers, take loans from informal sources. And when you dissect the data and look at it, it is majorly the small and marginal farmers who take most of these loans. Small and marginal farmers who will avail these kind of loans. Why? Look at the name, you will realize it. Small and marginal farmers. For example, a farmer who is cultivating on, let's say, 1 hectare of land, that too not owned by the farmer. Right? This farmer is a tenant farmer, not sufficient income source, doesn't own a collateral, right? So there is no option but to borrow from, let's say, informal sources. Now, based on the tenure of the loan, right? Based on the tenure of the loan, generally we divide these agriculture loans into three types. One is called as a short-term loan, second one is a medium-term loan, and the third one is long-term loan. One is a short-term, second one is a medium-term, and the third one is long-term. Short-term means generally the loans are provided for a period up to 15 months. Right? Some institutions will say up to 12 months, but RBI in document has said 15 months, up to 15 months. Right? So whenever the short-term loans are provided for certain purposes, for example, these loans are provided to purchase fertilizer. These loans are provided to purchase seeds, etc. So whenever these kind of loans are provided, these are called as short-term loans. What about medium-term loans? More than short term, the tenure is more than short term, more than, let's say, 12 months to 15 months, but up to 60 months. Up to 60 months, that is up to 5 years. So in the case of medium term, right, for what purposes these kind of loans are provided? For example, you want to dig up a well in the farm. You want to install certain machinery, let's say irrigation equipment in the farm. You want to purchase farm animals such as cattle, etc. For these purposes, medium term loans are provided. And finally, long term, at more than 60 months, that is more than 5 years, these are provided for purchasing, let's say, land. These are provided for purchasing tractors, etc., etc. So this is how the farm loans, right, or the credit that is given to the farming sector, farming community, is divided into short term, medium term, and long term. Now, in the last many decades, what reforms have been implemented by the government in order to ensure farm credit is available? For example, let me know if this is correct or wrong. Government of India post 1975 has promoted setting up of regional rural banks. Is it okay? Has promoted setting up of regional rural banks. Government has promoted setting up of cooperative banks as well. Right? Now RBI is promoting setting up of small finance banks. And why all these three are important? What is the priority sector lending criteria for RBIs, for regional rural banks, as well as, let's say, for a small finance bank? What is the priority sector lending criteria? It is 75%. It is 75%. For RBIs as well as SFBs, it is 75%. Remember it. Right? So priority sector lending norms are there, wherein a lot of credit will flow to agriculture sector. A lot of loans will go to agriculture sector. In addition to this, different types of banks such as regional rural banks, cooperative banks, small finance banks, right, etc., are being promoted both by government as well as the Reserve Bank of India. And the third important reform, Kisan Credit Card. Kisan Credit Card. Now, what is this idea of a Kisan Credit Card? The concept of Kisan Credit Card was introduced post 1998 in India by Reserve Bank of India. Under the concept of Kisan Credit Card, right, have a look at this, there will be coverage of these kind of cultivators. And the Kisan Credit Card facility is available for these kind of cultivators. For example, a farmer who is cultivating on own land. A farmer is cultivating, right, on the own land. A tenant farmer, a farmer, right, a grouping, etc. Right, that is self-help groups, etc. So farmers, either tenant farmers or cultivation of their own land, etc. Farmers engaged in the cultivation, animal husbandry, fisheries, right, these kind of cultivators are covered under the Kisan Credit Card. Now let me ask a very simple question. How many of you believe that the Kisan Credit Card, whatever loans are provided, should be uniform to all the farmers? Let me check. How do you think? Let me check. How many of you believe that, right, all the farmers who are covered under the Kisan credit card should be provided with same kind of loans, same products? Of course, no. Right? Don't you think the kind of a loan facility that is available to a large farmer means who is cultivating on a piece of land more than 10 hectares, should be different compared to small and marginal farmers? I hope you understand what I'm trying to convey here. So argument is simple. Many of you ask me, sir, how much loans are given? It doesn't, right? It is not uniform, right? It doesn't, you don't require to buy it. From one kind of a farmer to another kind of a farmer classification, it will change. It will keep on changing under Kisan credit card. For example, even if you say small farmer, let's say you say small farmer, can I simply say within a small farmer also, you can have different classification. A small farmer who is cultivating on a piece of land owned by the same farmer. A small farmer who is cultivating on a piece of land owned by somebody else. A small farmer who is cultivating on a piece of land with access to 365 days irrigation. Right, so I hope you understand the meaning here. Right, so argument is simple. From one class to another class, the products will change, the amount will change. You don't buy it, not required. But these are the kind of cultivators who are covered. Who are covered? Right, you own the land, do not own the land, doesn't matter. You'll be covered under the Kisan credit card. For what purpose the loans are provided under this? For what purpose? It will be provided for taking care of post-harvest expenses. Right, what do you mean by post-harvest expenses? Right, I'll discuss about a point 1 here and point 5 here. Have a look at this. Post-harvest expenses. Now, is it okay if I say a crop is there? You'll harvest the crop. You'll cut the crop, harvest. After you harvest, there are many activities that you're supposed to undertake. For example, you're supposed to store them. You're supposed to put them in the bag them, store them, then move it to, right, a market, then market it in the sense and try to sell it off in the market to buyers. So for post-harvest expenses, for example, storage, loans are provided. How? I'll come to that, have patience. When you will move them to the market, transportation cost, right there, let's say getting a quality certificate of the crops, etc., right, marketing expenses, right, for that also loans are provided. Consumption requirement for farming household, consumption requirement for any other purpose. Here is a farming house, they want money for other purposes also. For that also, you will require, right, you can take loans under the Kisan credit card. Working capital for farm assets, for example, irrigation equipment. Right, let's say other kind of a tiller equipment, etc. Farm assets are there. For that purposes also, you can take a loan. And investment requirements, right? Any kind of investment you want to do on a farm, you can take loan under the Kisan credit card. So these are various objectives for which Kisan credit card facility, that is basically a loan facility, is available to the farmers. The loans are provided under Kisan credit card and are eligible for interest subvention scheme. What is this idea of interest subvention scheme? Let me explain it. Here is a farmer. The farmer will take a loan. The farmer will take a loan from a bank. Let's say the bank will charge 9% rate of interest. In fact, it is 7%. Don't worry. Let's say the bank will charge 9% rate of interest. The farmer will not pay the full 9%. Part of the 9% will be paid by the government. Part of the rate of interest will be paid by the government to the bank. Let's say 2% is paid. Now you tell me, if 2% will be paid by the government to the bank, right, don't you think the interest burden on the farmer will be 7% in this example? Let me know. Right, interest subvention means part of the interest burden will be borne by the government. And because government is bearing certain interest expenditure on the loans given to farmers, the interest paid or the interest burden on the farmer will automatically go down. This is a benefit. That is government is providing to agriculture loans. Right, the government is providing to agriculture loans here. That is to farmers. So the loans provided under the Kisan credit card will also enjoy the benefit of interest subvention scheme. And Kisan credit card facility, it is available at all Indian banks, regional rural banks, cooperative banks, etc. This facility is available in all of these institutions. So these are some of the reforms that have been undertaken by the government to promote access to credit in the agriculture sector. I just want to add one more point here. There is this idea of a priority sector lending. On the face of it, right, look at this very carefully. Understand the problems, the ground level problems regarding all these policies. There is a policy of RBI, priority sector lending, under which the banks are supposed to provide loans to certain sectors. For example, I hope you remember it, agriculture sector, export credit, housing credit, MSME credit, startups, weaker section, right, etc., etc. There are around 8 sectors which are covered under the priority sector lending. Now let me ask you a very simple question. Think of it and answer. Agriculture sector is one of the very important sectors covered under the PSL. How many of you believe that all the banks are experts in agriculture loans? Let me see. How many of you believe that all the banks are experts in providing agriculture loans, recollecting agriculture loans? Don't you think that is not the correct statement? Right? All the banks will not be experts. That's a fact. Will all the banks be experts in providing MSME loans? Again, no. They will not be experts. So what is the issue here? RBI says you'll have to provide loans to agriculture. But all the banks will not feel like or are not experts in the sector, so they do not want to take a higher risk by giving such loans. So what is the way out here? What is the solution then? Understand this carefully. There is a system called as PSL certificate. There is a system called as PSL certificate. In short, I'll start using the term PSLC. PSL certificate. Now what will happen here? Follow this carefully. Imagine here is Bank A and Bank B. Okay, Bank A and Bank B. Bank A is supposed to provide 100 crore worth of loans under PSL. Right, let's say to agriculture sector. They're supposed to provide 100 crore worth of loans under PSL to agriculture sector. Bank B, on the other hand, it is supposed to provide, let's say, 80 crore rupees worth of loans to agriculture sector under PSL. Now look at this very carefully. Right, look at this very carefully. Now, sir, you're saying 100 crore, you're writing 10 crore. Okay, change it. Okay, 100 crore and 80 crore. Done. Right, so have a look at this. Bank A, rather than providing only 100 crore worth of loans, they will provide, let's say, 120 crore worth of loans to agriculture sector. They have provided it. And you will ask me, sir, does it happen in reality? Does it happen in a system wherein, rather than providing 100, they will give more than 100 crore? Does it actually happen? Answer is yes. I'll give you an example. Regional rural banks. Right, don't you think because of the structure of regional rural banks, right, most of them, they will end up giving more loans to agriculture sector. Right, remember it. Remember, go back to the structure of RRBs, how they are set up, what is their role, etc. You will realize it. Right, so they will end up giving more than what they're supposed to agriculture sector. Let's say hypothetically in this example, they have given 20 crore rupees extra to agriculture sector. On the other hand, there is Bank B. It is an expert in giving, let's say, loans to industries, big companies. It is an expert in that. Now RBI saying give 80 crore loans to agriculture sector. Don't you think Bank B will hesitantly will implement policy, but they don't want to give 80 crore rupees. So what they will do is, I'll just take a hypothetical number here. They will end up giving, let's say, 60 crore rupees worth of loan to agriculture sector. Right? Just to make the calculation easier. So on one side, a bank has given 20 crore extra to agriculture. On the other side, a bank has given 20 crore less to agriculture sector. So what is the solution then? What is the solution? RBI says A will be allowed to issue 20 crore worth of PSL certificates. PSL certificates. A will be allowed to issue 20 crore worth of PSL certificates, which B will purchase. Understand this carefully. B is not purchasing loan here. B is not purchasing loan. B is simply purchasing 20 crore worth of PSL certificates in the agriculture sector. Now 60 crore worth of loans have been issued by B. They will also purchase the 20 crore worth of certificates. What is the total worth of the counting, or what is the total worth of agriculture number here, or agriculture loan? It will reach the target of 80 crore rupees. It will reach the target of 80 crore. Now some will ask, what is the advantage for A? What is the advantage for A? When B will purchase the certificate, B will pay certain premium amount, certain commission to the bank A. B will be paying certain commission, certain charges will be paid by bank B to bank A. So thereby have a look at the system here. Thereby look at the system. B has not given all the 80 crore rupee loans to agriculture, but they are meeting the target of 80 crore. A, right, it has issued more than required loans to agriculture sector, and by doing that, selling the PSL certificates, they are earning certain amount of income. Right? This is the system of PSL certificates. Any problem with this? Any problem with this? But I'll tell you a concern here. I will tell you a simple concern here. If there was no system of PSL certificate, right, I'll ask you a question, think of it. If there was no system of PSL certificate, tell me, will the loans given to agriculture sector be higher or not? I'll repeat it again. If there was no system of PSL certificate, please look at the picture and let me know. Look at the picture and let me know. If there was no system of PSL certificate, what would be the total loans that would be flowing to agriculture sector? Anyways, Bank A would have provided more loans because it's an RRB. Right? Some of you are saying, no, you're misunderstanding it. Focus on this. Bank A anyways will provide 120 crore rupees because it is there in regional part, it is there in a district level. They will have to give more loans to agriculture. So Bank A will give how much? 120 crore rupees. What will the Bank B do now? Can they run away from PSL? Think of it. Can they run away from the PSL? Can they underachieve under PSL? There is no concept of PSL certificate. Bank B will also end up providing 80 crore rupee worth of loans. 80 crore worth of loans to agriculture. So how much loans would be going to agriculture sector if there was no PSL certificate? 200 crore. But because there is a PSL certificate, you tell me how much is actual loan going to agriculture sector? How much is actual loan going to agriculture sector because of the PSL certificate? Bank A has given 120 crore and Bank B has given 60 crore rupees. So how much is the actual loans going to the agriculture sector? 180 crore. Can I say this is a problem? Let me know. Can I say this is a problem? Right? Why? Why it is a problem? I want the banks to provide more and more loans to the priority sectors. But what banks are doing? They know that there is a concept called as a PSL certificate, and the banks are purchasing more and more PSL certificates rather than actually giving loans. I hope you understand it. Right? The banks are giving 60 crore loan, purchasing 20 crore certificate rather than giving 80 crore rupee worth of loans. So the actual flow of the loans to agriculture sector will be affected because of this. I hope you understand. Right? Again, sorry, very, very difficult. It's not difficult, my dear. It's a very simple idea. Rather than giving loans, you'll purchase a certificate. Right? You'll come across the concept of carbon trading, ecology and environment. Similar concept. Rather than PSL certificate, they will sell carbon certificate, carbon credits concept. Again, don't ask me about carbon credits here. I'll not enter into that. Right? So argument is simple here. Bank A is issuing more than 100 crore. They will sell 20 crore worth of certificates. Bank B, rather than issuing 80 crore worth of loan, will simply issue 60 crore worth of loan and purchase 20 crore worth of certificates, thereby meeting a target of 80 crore, which is kept under the PSL. Okay, so this is the basic idea. They are meeting the required targets. Right? Can you understand what I'm trying to convey to you people? Has Bank A and B met the target? Yes. Did I say they have not met the target? Let me know. Did I say that they have not met the target? But what is the concern I raised? What is the concern I raised? The concern I raised was they are meeting the target. But is the objective of giving more credit to agriculture sector, is that objective met here? Right? Many of you miss out what I'm trying to convey and you keep on asking something else to me. I am saying the objective of PSL is to provide more loans to agriculture sector. But if there is a concept of PSL certificate, are you meeting that objective? Let me know. Are you meeting that objective? Are you not defeating the objective of more loans to agriculture sector by purchasing PSL certificate? That is a concern that I've raised. Are they meeting the target? Of course, yes. They are meeting the target. But are they basically achieving the objective of more loans to agriculture sector? That is a concern I raised. Understand what I tell you. Rather than trying to find, sir, but they're doing that, I'm never countering whether they've achieved the target or not. That is never the question here. They are meeting the target, but the concern is more loans going to agriculture sector. Okay, done. Next, the concept of warehousing. The idea of warehousing. Okay, now what is this idea of warehousing? Warehousing basically refers to the process of storage of the agriculture output. Storage of agriculture sector output. For example, in the agriculture sector, you'll have output of the food grains such as rice, such as wheat. Right? Within agriculture, horticulture will also come. Right? You can also have output of horticulture. So argument is simple here. You'll have to store them, right, and then sell them in the market. But why? Why we require to store them? What is the reason? These are some of the reasons. One, imagine all of us will cultivate paddy. All of us will take paddy to the market. You tell me, will the supply be higher or not? I'll repeat it. All of us will cultivate paddy and will take the paddy to the market. We want to sell them. Right? What will happen to supply of paddy? Supply will be very high. What will happen to market price? Very low. All of us will end up incurring lower amount of incomes. So what we will do is, we have cultivated paddy. All of it will not take it to market. Some of it we will store. Some of it we will warehouse. And later, when the market prices will be stable, we will supply that to the market. Right? So one objective is to stabilize the prices of the commodities. Right? One objective is to stabilize the market prices. Second, I'll go back to the example that I told you earlier, wheat. I said that wheat, generally you will take around 4 to 5 months to cultivate, harvest and sell the wheat in the market. Now imagine today you will harvest wheat. You'll take all the wheat, sell it in the market. No doubt our revenues, our incomes will crash. But after 1 month, where is the wheat to supply? Let me know. After 2 months, where is the wheat to supply to the market? After 3 months, where is the wheat to supply to the market? Right. So we have to ensure that one, prices will be stable in the market. Second, we also have to ensure that supply will be adjusted in the market. Right. There has to be a continuous supply in the market. Otherwise, in 1 month, supply will be very high, prices will crash. For the next 4 months, there is no supply, prices will skyrocket. Right. So that is dangerous. We need to moderate the supply. We need to moderate the prices. And the third one, whenever you go for scientific storage, don't you think the wastages will come down? Let me know. Whenever you go for a scientific storage, right? Before the break, I told you scientific storage means a cold warehousing is there, attack from the pest is there. You will have to protect from the sunlight, etc., etc. So whenever you go for a scientific warehousing, will the wastages of these food grains, wastages of horticulture products, will it come down? Of course, yes. Wastages will be minimized. The wastages will be reduced. Right. And the fourth point, I've not written it here, but you write it. Buffer stocks. Idea of a maintenance of buffer. Right. Requirement of a buffer by the government of India. Right. Why? What is the need for the buffer? Right. Some time ago we have discussed this. Fifth, also you write it for public distribution purposes. For public distribution purposes, Government of India runs a public distribution system. For that, they want to store, they want to distribute over a period of time the food grains. So these are some of the reasons why we actually require the warehousing capacity or the storage capacity. Now, in case of India, warehousing is developed. Warehousing capacity, it is developed by the government and also developed by the private sector. Warehousing is developed by the government as well as private sector. When I say government, it is developed by state government as well as central government. It is provided by the state government as well as central government. But the fact of the matter is very simple. Despite having private sector participation as well as government participation, the amount of warehousing capacity, the amount of storage capacity we have today, it is not sufficient. We need more and more warehousing capacity to be installed. Right? We are implementing reforms. Don't worry, I will tell you the reforms. So we are implementing a lot of reforms to promote development of all of this warehousing infrastructure or storage infrastructure. But what is the criticism as of now? As of now, what is the criticism for warehousing sector in India? One, sufficient storage capacity is not there in India. Either you can talk about normal warehousing or cold warehousing. I hope you understand the difference between normal and cold warehousing. So what do you mean by normal? How many of you think that wheat has to be stored in cold temperatures? Right? Let me know. How many of you think that wheat has to be stored in cold temperatures? Right? Ice cold temperatures? Absolutely no. But on the other hand, can I say that milk has to be stored in cold temperatures? Right? Paneer has to be stored in cold temperatures. Seafood, fruits, vegetables have to be stored in cold temperatures. So argument is whether you talk about cold warehousing or a normal warehousing, we do not have sufficient capacity. We are still in the process of developing it. It will happen over a period of time. Don't worry, I'll tell you the reforms. Second, storage that is done by Food Corporation of India, that is mainly centered around cereals. Understand the statement here. The storage that is done by Food Corporation of India, it is centered, it is mainly concentrated around cereals. Again, cereals, what kind of example? Rice and wheat. And you know the reason by now, right? What is the reason why FCI mainly procures? Centered around the rice and wheat because of PDS, because of the buffer stock. But what about the storage, promotion of storage of, let's say, oil seeds? Don't you think we need to promote more and more warehousing capacity and store more and more oil seeds? So what do you mean by oil seeds? Right? Best example is the seeds using which you will get edible oils. Palm oil, best example. Sunflower oil, palm oil, etc., etc. So why are you focused on this particular point? Right? For a very simple reason, remember this. India imports a huge quantity of edible oils. India imports huge quantity of edible oils. Best example, palm oil. And when you keep on importing, you do not have sufficient capacity, you do not have storage also, you keep on importing a lot of it, you tell me any change in the exchange rate, rupee depreciation, or other countries such as Indonesia banning export of palm oil, what is the impact of all of that in Indian market? What is the impact of all of that in the Indian market? Impact is the prices will suddenly go up, prices will rise up. Right now, one of the ways through which you can control the rise in the prices, can I simply say, if you start producing and storing more and more oil seeds, to a very great extent, we can stabilize the prices. I hope you understand my point. Production is very low in India, right? And storage capacity is also very, very low. Now, because of that, we are majorly dependent on the import. And anything happens in the international market, it has a negative impact on consumers in the domestic market. Just check what has happened to edible oil prices, palm oil prices in the last 1 year. Right? It is not stable. It is never stable in India. You will see the prices are very volatile. Right? You will see prices will go up, fall down within a span of 1 month. Within a span of 30 days, prices are becoming very, very volatile. Right? So that is one more criticism. Third one, location disadvantages. That is, as a farmer, I've cultivated the crop. I want to store the crop in the warehouse. But the warehouse is very far away from the village. Now, how many of you think you will take your crops all the way to the warehouse to store them? And mind you, most of the farmers in case of India are small and marginal. Lack of knowledge amongst the farmers. Where are the warehouses present? What is the charges imposed by the warehouses? Right? What kind of facilities are provided by the warehouses? This kind of a knowledge, availability of knowledge is very, very low amongst the farmers. And finally, right, have a look at this. Lack of credit accessibility on the produce stored. Lack of credit accessibility on the produce stored. Right? What do you mean by this? Let me start. Imagine I've cultivated a crop. Right? Harvesting is done. I've bagged all of these crops. Now, this is a concern. If I take all these crops to the market and sell them today, if I take all these crops and sell them in the market today, will I be getting good amount of money? There is no guarantee. Because just like me, you also have done it. Right? Which means the supply of this crop in the market is very high, market prices will be very low. I will not be earning sufficient amount of income. Now, what is the next option available? If I can't sell, what is the next option? I will simply take these crops, put it in a warehouse, put it in the storage. Now, when I put it in the storage, I will face the next problem. What is the next problem? I have food grains. These food grains are sitting in the warehouse. Where is the money now? Where is the money for me? And I need money. For what purposes? I need to pay for, right, let's say education, that is school fees of my children. I need to, right, purchase certain other commodities that are needed for the house. I need to take care of, let's say, medicines for my parents. I need to purchase fertilizers. I need to purchase seeds, etc., etc., etc. That is the problem. In addition, I'll have to pay money for even the warehousing. So problem here is that you're in a pickle. You're in basically, right, in a doubt here. What is the doubt? If I sell, I will not get sufficient amount of income. If I store, I will not have any money in my hand. What should I do now? For this, understand this carefully, there is a facility. There is a credit facility available. This facility is called as negotiable warehouse receipt system. Negotiable warehouse receipt system. Warehouse receipt system. NWRS. Negotiable warehouse receipt system. Now, what is this negotiable warehouse receipt system? Let's start. Right, here is a farmer. The farmer will take the crops, submit the crops to a warehouse. Keep the crops in the warehouse. Now, you tell me, right, if you are the warehouse, I will keep the crops in your warehouse. Will you issue a bill or not? Will you issue a document to me or not? Some document has to be given to me. Otherwise, what is the proof that I've kept crops with you? So, what do we do? Second arrow mark, warehouse will issue a receipt. This receipt, my dear, is called as a warehouse receipt. This receipt is called as a warehouse receipt. Now, I will take the warehouse receipt, go to a bank. Go to a bank, show the warehouse receipt to them, and it's a proof. It's a proof that I've kept certain crops, which means I have certain assets, I've kept it in the warehouse. So, it's a proof that I have certain assets. Bank will provide a short-term loan to the farmer. Bank will provide a short-term loan to the farmer. Now, is it okay? Is the logic okay here? The farmer is not selling the crop. Farmer is simply storing the crop. Earlier, what was the problem? If I store the crop, I will not have money. I will not have money. How will I purchase fertilizer? How will I purchase a seed? Because I want to prepare for next cycle of cultivation. Government says, don't worry, take the warehouse receipt, go to the bank and take a loan from the bank. Take a loan from the bank. In fact, many of the banks provide these kind of loans under the concept of priority sector lending. Under PSL, many of these banks provide loans on the warehouse receipt to the farmer. Right now, the farmer, right, have a look at this. Now the farmer will wait for the prices to stabilize. Right, let's say we'll approach a trader, will simply transfer the warehouse receipt. Will simply transfer the warehouse receipt. Will simply sell the warehouse receipt to a buyer. Right, and the buyer will pay money to the farmer. Buyer will pay money to the farmer and buyer will get the warehouse receipt. Now the buyer will go to the warehouse, submit the receipt and withdraw the food grains. Withdraw food grains. Any difficulty with the system? Any difficulty with the system? Let me know. Right, the farmer has taken the crops, kept it in the warehouse, taken the receipt, go to the bank, show the receipt, get the loan. Get the loan. Now let's after 1 month, after 2 months, we'll sell the receipt to a buyer. Buyer will go to the warehouse, show the receipt, take the food grain. The farmer has taken the money now. Farmer will get the money, will repay the loan to the bank. Right, so this is basically the concept of negotiable warehouse receipt system. NWRS, negotiable warehouse receipt system. This is being promoted now. This is being promoted. Now some of you will have a doubt here also. Right, every time I see some students will try to find out a problem in every system. So what if I lose this receipt? Many of you ask me, I know, right? Many of you will be ready with that loaded question. You say I have a receipt. What if I lose the receipt? My dear, please understand this. Physical receipts are not issued. Physical copy is not issued. Digital receipts are issued. I hope you understand this. Digital receipts are issued. That is the reason now this is called as electronic NWRS. Electronic negotiable warehouse receipt system. Electronic NWRS. Then this is basically the idea of how the NWRS system will work. Any problem with this? Any problem? Can I go to the next one here? Now, there's a committee recommendation. Remember the committee recommendation? Shanta Kumar committee. Earlier also I mentioned this. Now let's discuss it. Shanta Kumar committee recommendation. This is a high level committee. Shanta Kumar committee. Now this committee recommendations are associated with the Food Corporation of India. The recommendations are regarding Food Corporation of India, FCI. Now let's start. What are the recommendations? First one, FCI must transfer procurement operation to the states which have made considerable expenditure in infrastructure. And what do you mean by this? Let's start with an example. Here is the state government. The state government already has spent money. They have spent money and they have developed infrastructure to procure food grains and store food grains. Right, have a look at this. The state government already has spent money, right, and developed infrastructure using which they can procure and store. What is the function of FCI, by the way? Let me know. What is the function of FCI? Procurement and storage. So here is the problem. State government already has infrastructure. Should FCI also do the same thing in the state? Don't you think there's a duplication? State government is also spending money, right? The FCI is also doing the same thing. So what is the solution then? FCI will simply transfer all these procurement operation to the state government and allow the state government to conduct these operations. Right? That is point number one. Second one, there must be a rationality and uniformity in procurement operations. For example, I told you this. The situation of parboiled rice. Situation of parboiled rice. Now, don't you think if government of India had gone ahead, procure parboiled rice from Telangana, simply they will have a lot of stocks of parboiled rice. If the demand is not there, if they're not going to supply this, right, under NFSA, they already have sufficient amount of food grains. What is the point of even procuring it? Right, so argument is simple. Whenever the government will procure food grains, whenever they'll procure, have certain rationality in the procurement. Have certain rationality in the procurement. Do not simply procure them. Ask for quality certificates. Do you require so much amount of food grains? Based on that, you procure it. Second recommendation. Third recommendation, center should not accept surplus food grains from the states announcing bonus. Understand this is a technical definition. Center should not accept additional or surplus food grain from the states announcing bonus or MSP. What is this? Let me explain. Follow the explanation. Here is the state government. State government, let's say, has announced a bonus of 200 rupees. And here is the center. Center has announced a bonus, MSP of 1000 rupees. Now the farmers in the state, will they not produce more and more crop and sell it to the government? Right? Understand this and let me know. Farmers in this state, because the center is paying MSP, state is paying the bonus, farmers will produce more and try to sell it to the government here. And government, because this is a surplus state, will keep on procuring it. But what is the problem? If farmers start selling the crop to the government like this, what will happen to supply in the market? Let me know. What will happen to supply in the market? Supply in the market automatically will go down, and the supply in the market will go down. What will happen to market prices? We have discussed this, by the way. We are putting it in the form of a recommendation now. What will happen to market prices? Market prices will increase. Traders will purchase at a higher price, transfer this higher price to the customers. That is you and me. Will it not lead to inflation? Can it lead to inflation here? Of course, yes. Of course, yes. That's the reason. Remember this. That's the reason. Generally, RBI governors will keep on asking Government of India, will keep on telling Government of India, please do not announce a higher MSP. Please do not increase the MSP by very, very large margin. Why? Is it okay now if I say this? State government announcing higher bonus, central government announcing higher MSP might lead to inflation in the market. Let me know. I'll repeat it again. State government announcing a higher bonus, central increasing the MSP by a large margin can contribute to inflationary trend in the market. Yes or no? Can I go to the next one now? Nobody wants to answer, right? So yes, it could contribute to inflationary trend in the market. That's a danger of MSP policy. Okay. Next one. So what you should do? What's the solution then? If a state is announcing more and more bonus, do not procure surplus from that. Let the state government do it. You don't procure. Let the state government procure and bear the burden of it. You do not procure it. Right? So that is the recommendation. Next, encourage NWRS. Is it beneficial or not? To agriculture sector, to the farmers, to the market. If farmers will start utilizing more and more NWRS, is it beneficial or not? Answer is yes. That's the reason this committee says encourage NWRS. Let me add a point here. Look at this system. Negotiable warehouse receipt system. That is electronic negotiable warehouse receipt system. There is one issue related to this system. What is the issue? Imagine a farmer is there. Farmer will keep the crop at a warehouse. Now the condition is that this warehouse must be registered. Remember this. The condition is that this warehouse must be registered. Registered under whom? There is one authority called as Warehouse Development Regulation Authority. Warehouse Development Regulatory Authority. WDRA. Warehouse Development Regulatory Authority. WDRA. Now RBI says these warehouses must be registered with WDRA. And it is asking the banks. It is simply asking the banks. That is RBI is telling the banks, if the farmers have a receipt of those warehouses which are registered with the WDRA, only then provide loans. Do not provide the loans if the warehouse is not registered with the WDRA. And many of the warehouses in India are not registered. I hope you understand. Many of the warehouses are not registered. These are not getting registered. These are not coming under regulation of this authority. So why? Why are they not registered with the WDRA? One, generally the type of services they provide are inferior in nature. Not all the warehouses are having very superior quality of services. I hope you understand. Not all the warehouses in India will provide you very good quality of services. So the concern amongst these warehouses is that I will get registered under WDRA. What if WDRA will conduct inspection? What if they will conduct inspection at my warehouse and they will cancel my license? So what I will do? I will not simply get registered only. I'll keep on like this only. I'll keep on purchasing. I'll keep on providing the services. Collect the charges from the farmers like this. That's the reason there is a concern here. Right. So the Shanta Kumar committee says promote the usage of negotiable warehouse receipt system. Promote the usage of negotiable warehouse receipt system. Reduce the coverage under NFSA from 67% to 40%. Right. Logic should be self-evident here. 67% coverage means what? Food subsidy bill of government of India is very high. Right. Don't you think you will end up covering some of the people who should not be covered? Right. I hope you understand. You're covering 67% of population. Don't you think you're covering certain population which doesn't require this kind of assistance? Right, and this is a fact. A lot of corruption is there in the system. Right, people who are not supposed to be covered, these are getting covered under NFSA. Right, so what you should do then? Reduce the coverage from 67% to 40%. But the committee also has recommended. I'll just add one more point here. Go forward and add a point here. Once you reduce the coverage from 67 to 40%, it simply means you are covering only the required beneficiaries. Those who require the need or those who are in need of the assistance, you are covering those beneficiaries. So what you should do is, once you reduce it, increase the allocation from 5 kg to 7 kg. Increase the allocation from 5 kg to 7 kg per person. Right, this is one more important recommendation. We have not done it. We have not implemented it. Next, you are announcing MSP for 23 crops, but you are mainly procuring rice and wheat. You are mainly procuring paddy and wheat. What is the point of announcing MSP for 23 crops then? So what you should do is, price of the pulses are very volatile in India. Price of oil seeds, that is edible oils, vegetable oils, very volatile in India. So, right, prioritize the procurement of both of them. Prioritize procurement of pulses, prioritize the procurement of oil seeds. Are we doing it today? No. Even today, right, we are keeping the rice and wheat. I'm using the term rice and wheat. They'll say paddy. Paddy and wheat are the main focus of Food Corporation of India. Right, but are we procuring pulses now? Of course, yes. Right, government is keeping a buffer stock of pulses now. 6 months advanced food grains to be issued so that the cost of storage comes down. Let me explain. Have a look at this. Let me explain. Imagine here is Food Corporation of India and I'm a beneficiary. I am a beneficiary. Now, because I'm a beneficiary, every month, I should get 5 kgs. Every month, I should get 5 kgs. Now, does it not mean that Food Corporation of India will have to keep on storing food grains? Right? Let's say I'll take a simple example for 3 months. Let's assume 3 months. So for 3 months, how much food grains I should be getting? 15 kgs. So Food Corporation of India has to store 15 kgs. Right? Monthly, it has to transport 5 kgs like this. Right? Expenditure will be incurred. It has to distribute 5 kgs every month to me. Right? So can I simply say that for every month like this, for 3 months, expenditure will be incurred. Month by month, expenditure will be incurred. Rather than this system, what this committee says is, let's say harvesting is done. You have a lot of food grains in the market now. Purchase the food grains for me. Rather than giving 5 kgs every month, simply calculate what is the entitlement for 6 months. How much I should get for 6 months? I should get 30 kgs for 6 months. So rather than giving 5 kgs every month like this, simply provide 30 kgs in one shot. Right? Have a look at this. Simply provide 30 kgs in one shot. Now you tell me what is the advantage here? If I get 30 kgs in one shot like this, don't you think FCI, cost of storage for FCI will come down? Is it okay? Cost of storage for FCI will come down. Cost of transportation for FCI will automatically come down. Right? This is the recommendation. 6 months advance food grains, you simply give it to them. Right? So that month by month you will not incur expenditure for transportation, storage, etc. Promote end-to-end computerization. We have done this now. End-to-end computerization. What is the advantage? No leakage. Food grains can be tracked. Beneficiaries can be tracked. End-to-end computerization. And finally, provide for cash transfers in the PDS, right, in those cities where the population is more than 10 lakh or 1 million. Now, what is the basic idea for cash transfer here? Imagine you are a beneficiary, and this month you are given 5 kgs of rice. This month you are given 5 kgs of rice, but you want money for purchasing cooking oil. You want money, right, for purchasing, let's say pulses, etc. Now, don't you think that kind of option is not there under NFSA? Right? Is it okay? That kind of option means I would want to purchase pulses, but under NFSA they will not give it to me. I want to purchase a cooking oil. It is not given under the NFSA. So they'll simply give me 5 kgs. I don't want 5 kgs of rice. I want 2 kg of rice and 1 kg of pulse. I want 1 kg of rice. I want half a liter cooking oil. Is that option available in the FCI? Is that available? Is there a provision? Is there a provision under NFSA? Absolutely no. I hope you understand. Absolutely no. Right? Under NFSA, they will give you, let's say, 5 kgs of rice. That's it. So what this committee says is, rather than providing indirect subsidy, look at my statement here. Rather than providing indirect subsidy, simply provide that subsidy in the form of a cash to the beneficiaries. For example, do you remember the calculation that I've used earlier? 45 rupees was the economic cost of food grain for 1 kg of rice. Just hypothetical calculation, by the way. And when I will give it to a beneficiary, beneficiary will pay 3 rupees to the government. So how much was the subsidy incurred by the government in this example? How much was the subsidy? 42 rupees. So government says, rather than giving, this committee says, rather than giving 1 kg of rice and incurring a subsidy of 42 rupees, why not transfer a subsidy of 42 into the bank account of the beneficiary? I hope you understand. Rather than giving 1 kg of rice, and incurring 42 rupees, right, 42 rupees subsidy, why not simply transfer 42 rupees subsidy into the bank account of the beneficiary? What is the advantage here? Advantage is, can you use 42 rupees to purchase oil? Can you use it to purchase pulses? Can you use it to purchase milk, etc., etc.? You will have the choice now. You can choose what you want to purchase using that 42 rupees. Right? That is the recommendation that has been provided. Cash transfers rather than providing food grains at subsidized prices. We are trying it out in some of the union territories. Not very successful. Not very successful. Why? What is the guarantee that you use 42 rupees to purchase food grain only, or let's say milk only, or for that matter, right, even pulses only? Right? There is absolutely no guarantee here. Okay. Right. So these are some of the very important recommendations of Shanta Kumar Committee. Shanta Kumar Committee. Done. Okay. Next, concept of APMC. Concept of APMC. Now, point number 1. What is APMC here? Agriculture Produce Market Committee. Agriculture Produce Market Committee. Point number 2. Whenever you talk about marketing of agriculture commodities, please remember this. It will come under the state government. It will come under the state government. That is basically Schedule 7 of Indian Constitution, division of the powers like this. Marketing of agriculture commodities comes under the state government. So now you tell me, if there has to be an APMC, who should set it up? Is the logic okay? APMC stands for what? Agriculture Produce Market Committee. You want an APMC, who should be setting up this APMC? The APMC has to be set up by the state governments. Remember this. The respective state governments will be setting up the APMCs. Now you will ask me, sir, what do you mean by APMC? You've written the long form, but what do you actually mean by this? Let me show a picture to you. Please have a look at the picture here. Please have a look at the picture. Now, let me ask a very simple question. You want to buy certain agriculture commodities, right, sir? You'll ask me, sir, why should I buy agriculture commodities? Let's say you own Britannia company. That's simple. At least now you'll understand, right? I'm making you billionaire now. You own Britannia company. Now, is it okay if I say Britannia requires a lot of wheat to be purchased? Any problem with this? Britannia requires a lot of wheat. Why? They want to use wheat, convert that into biscuit. They want to use the wheat, convert that into bread, sell it, make huge amount of profit. Now, you tell me what makes economic sense to you. Individually going to farmers, and that is go to farmer 1, purchase, go to farmer 2, purchase, go to farmer 3, purchase, or go to one market where all the farmers have come and they are selling wheat. Let me know what makes a better sense to you. Go to individually all the farmers, talk to them. Hello G, how are you? Right, I want to purchase wheat. You have it. Right, show me. Right, what kind, etc., etc. What makes more sense? Economic sense. Idea is go to market. Right, all the farmers have brought their crop there. Go to the market and purchase. Now look at the other side also. Imagine you're a farmer. What is better to you? Right, try to search a buyer somewhere, or there is a market. Buyers are already there. Go to that market and try to sell your crop. Right, so the argument is simple. APMC represents market. Is it okay? APMC represents a market. It is a place which is set up by an organization, that is APMC. It is also referred to as a mandi. Market or mandi. Either use one of the term, doesn't matter. It is either mandi or market, where the cultivators will bring their output, and the buyers will also come to the same market. Negotiations will happen, and the buying and selling of the commodities will be conducted here. Now, don't you think because the buyers are many, right? Have a look at the statement. I'll give you 2 statements. Because the buyers are many, price discovery will be much more efficient. Let me know. Because the buyers are, right, a lot of the buyers are there, large number of buyers are there, price discovery will be much better. Because a lot of sellers are also there, the buyers will find it easier to purchase large quantities as per their requirement. So it will provide benefit not only for the buyers, will also provide the benefit for the sellers as well. With this idea, with this concept only, or with this objective, the idea of APMC has been promoted, Agriculture Produce Marketing Committee. But please remember this, APMC has to be set up by the state government. Center will not set it up, state government will set it up. Which can also mean that if a state government doesn't want APMC, they can remove it. I hope you understand it. It is up to the state government. So many states in India have APMC. Is there any state which doesn't have APMC? Bihar does not have it today. Bihar doesn't have it. Kerala did not even implement it. The government of Kerala did not even implement APMC law. So argument is simple, state governments. Remember it. State governments will decide whether we should have APMCs. If yes, what kind of buyers are allowed to purchase in APMC? What kind of crops are allowed to be sold in the APMC? All of it will be decided by the respective state government. Now look at the point and let me know. State government is setting up an infrastructure like this. Food Corporation of India will use the infrastructure. Will the buyers pay certain charges or not? Is the logic okay? Right, earlier when I was discussing food subsidy, I was telling you about APMC charges. Right, if there is infrastructure which is provided, you will go to that market, purchase it. Will you not pay certain charges for having provided this kind of infrastructure? Answer is of course yes. That's the reason one of the procurement incidentals that I've written in the slide is the mandi charges, APMC mandi charges. Now come to the next point. Here. Again, same example. You own Britannia company. Now you will go to, let's say, you will go to UP mandi. You will go to mandi in the Uttar Pradesh. You will take a license there. You will take a license because you want to purchase. You will have to take a license. So you will take a license and purchase certain crops in UP. Now look at the question and answer it. Can you use the same license to go to, let's say, Madhya Pradesh and purchase from the mandi in Madhya Pradesh? Let me know. You have gone to UP, you took a license, right? You are one of the traders, you took a license, you purchased, right, in mandi in Uttar Pradesh. Now, can you use the same license in the Madhya Pradesh mandi? It will not be allowed. Why? State government. State government will change, right, from this state to another state. Two different state governments. Laws are different. So you'll have to take a license, one in UP, you'll have to take one more license in EMP. Is it good? Right? Look at this. For doing business, is it good? Imagine a company such as Britannia, do you think they will purchase only in 2 states? No, they'll be present in multiple states. Multiple states means multiple licenses. Right? Don't you think it is very difficult to conduct a business like this? Rather than this, what if I say? What if I say you need only one license? Take only one license. You can purchase it from any mandi in India. Which one is better for you? Right? Is the logic okay with all of you? Rather than taking multiple licenses to purchase in multiple mandis, take only one license. You can use it to purchase in any market. Don't you think? Second system, I use a term here, unified license. Unified license is always much more beneficial. It will provide a lot of advantages for the traders. Now we have introduced that system. I'll come to that. There's a system by the name of ENAM, E-National Agriculture Market. ENAM. What's the beauty of the ENAM system? You need to have only one license. Unified license is sufficient. You do not require multiple licenses. You need to have only one license. That's it. Okay, so these are certain points. Now there's a problem here. With the APMC model, there's a problem. What is the problem? Let's go point by point here. First one, I've already told you. If you want to participate in multiple mandis, you are supposed to have multiple licenses. That's a problem, by the way. Second problem, look at certain terms which are written here. Look at certain terms which are written here. Sorting, grading, packaging, etc. Now, is it relevant for UPSC? Will UPSC ask you what is sorting? They will not ask you. But let me give you a very simple example. Imagine you go to a shop, you want to purchase, let's say, apples. You want to purchase apples. Have you seen any apple seller who will put all the apples in a pile and ask you to take any of them? Is that prevalent? Or I'll give you a second example. You will go to the seller, he has nicely arranged apples. Some of them are peach red, some of them are shining like this, some of them are Indian apples, some of them are kept in a bottle, right? A long bottle like this, very, very small apples like this, etc. What is the concept? This is called as sorting. This is called as sorting. Sorting means separating. All of you agree? Sorting means separating. Right, so why should we separate? Do you think all the apples will have the same quality? Think of it. Do you think all the apples will have the same quality? Of course no. Some of them will be apples from Shimla. Some of them will be local apples. Some of them will be half rotten already. Some of them are imported. So quality will differ. So when the quality will differ, you need to separate them. This is called as sorting. And when you sort, you'll have to give certain quality standard to all of them. You'll have to put a term, organic apple. You'll have to label, right? This is right Kashmiri apple. This is Shimla apple. This is called as grading. Are you able to understand? Sorting and grading. Now, right, again, so any more example of this. Somebody is going to start now, right? In most of the cities, it has already started. Will you not come across mangoes? Right, apply the same logic to mangoes. You'll go to purchase mangoes. Do you think every mango is put in a pile? You'll jump into the pile and keep on searching which mango you want to purchase. No, you will see Baginpalli mango kept separately like this. Right, this mango separate, Alfonso separate, etc., etc. What is the idea? Sorting and grading. Now have a look at this. All these crops will come to the APMC market. Right? Don't you think the APMC market should have infrastructure for warehousing, sorting, grading, and packaging? Any problem with this? The warehousing should be there. Sorting, grading, packaging infrastructure should be available in the market. But do we have sufficient warehousing infrastructure? Already you know the answer. Do we have sufficient sorting, grading, and packaging infrastructure? Again, answer is no. So there is a problem with respect to infrastructure that is available at APMC mandis. So the mandis are imposing charges from you, collecting charges, but the infrastructure that they have is very inferior. That's a problem with the APMC market. And I'll tell you one more point here. In one area, let's say there is one mandi, one market like this. Don't you think it will act as a monopoly? Think of it. Right? In one area, there is only one market, one APMC mandi like this. Don't you think it is basically an application of monopoly structure or monopolistic market here? That is only one market is there. You want packaging infrastructure, but they don't have it. What is your option? You tell me. You want a packaging infrastructure, but they don't have it. What is your option? There is no option. Only one market is there. Whether you like it or don't like it, go to that market. Right? So there is no competition. It is a monopolistic market. APMCs will act as a monopoly there. That is problem. That is very bad for the competition. Okay, so these are some of the issues. Regarding the functioning of APMCs in India. Private mandis are not there. APMCs act like a monopoly. Multiple licenses are required for traders. Sufficient infrastructure are not there, but the charges are imposed and collected by the APMCs, by the APMC mandis. So what is the solution to all of this? What can you do in order to address all of this? Right? Government has introduced the concept of ENAM. Right? Very, very famous now. Government has introduced the concept of center, by the way, concept of E-National Agriculture Market. Now, what is the concept of ENAM? Please understand this. This is not a separate market. Do not imagine there is one more market. No. What government says is APMC mandis will be connected with internet now. Simple. All the APMC mandis are connected now. Right? For example, imagine you're a farmer. Until now, before ENAM, you will simply take the crop, go to the APMC, buyers will come to the APMC, you will sell it to the buyers. Now, that is not the structure. You will take the crop, get the quality certificate, and you will list the crop to the APMC. You will list the crop in a portal. You will basically list the crop in a portal. Can you see a board here? There's a black board in the picture. Right? You will list your crop in the portal. It's a website. You are registered. Buyers are registered. So you will list your crop in the portal like this. Now, right, is it okay if I say, because it is an online portal, traders do not have to physically go to the market? Let me know. Traders do not have to physically go to the market. Point number one. Point number two, because it is online now, do you require multiple licenses? Is it okay? Because it is online, do you need multiple licenses? Absolutely no. One unified license is more than sufficient. You might be sitting in, let's say, Bihar. You might be sitting in, let's say, UP, Karnataka, Maharashtra, Telangana. Doesn't matter. You need to have only one license. You will start bidding on the portal. You'll start bidding on the portal. So farmers have listed their crops on the portal. Bidding will start. And obviously, at one point of time, the highest bid will be accepted by the farmer. This is how E-National Agriculture Market will actually function. Now, can I say this? Can I say this now? Have a look at this. The ENAM structure or the process of ENAM will improve efficiency in the market compared to APMC. Let me know. Compared to only APMC, now the ENAM, right? ENAM will provide you much better returns because you can get access to multiple states now. You can get access to multiple Mondays. You do not have to literally go there. You do not have to physically travel all the way. You can simply sit in your office, open a laptop, start bidding for it. Start bidding for it. Right? So number of traders will increase. Number of buyers will also increase. Competition will increase. Right? You can get access to multiple markets. All these are the advantages of e-National Agriculture Market. Right? So the government of India has given the duty of managing and implementing the ENAM portal to one authority, SFAC, Small Farmers Agribusiness Consortium. Okay. Right? The SFAC will be responsible for the implementation, or it is the agency responsible for the implementation and maintenance of this portal by the name of e-National Agriculture Market. Right, so this is a basic idea, and for this, Government of India has allocated funds. Right, various mandis will be allocated funds for integrating into ENAM through one more fund called as Agritech Infrastructure Fund. Agritech Infrastructure Fund has been set up. APMCs will be provided assistance to integrate with e-National Agriculture Market. So these are certain important points regarding ENAM. Right, I've given you certain information here. Please go through this. For example, I've given a map here. Should you buy hard this map? Please don't. Don't waste your time. Right, and moreover, this data will keep on changing. I hope you understand. This data will keep on changing. Please do not buy hard the data. Just to give you the idea, I've given you this map. Right, so more and more APMC mandis are being brought onto the ENAM system now, and Government of India is actually promoting trading of more and more crops, right, allowing more and more traders to participate and allowing more and more farmers to get registered under the concept of ENAM, right, e-National Agriculture Market. But having said so, right, there are certain issues under ENAM, certain problems associated with ENAM. Right, we'll start with the problems next class. We'll continue with the problems next class. So we'll stop the discussion here today. Right, we'll continue with the issues related to ENAM in the next class. Next class, by the way. Okay. Now, before I wind up the session, let me address your questions. Is APMCs only benefit for traders or businessmen? Again, please understand, anybody who's going to participate in the APMCs, for example, farmers, they will also get the benefit. Why? Buyers, multiple buyers are there in the market. If multiple buyers are there, don't you think competition to purchase will be higher? Farmers will be able to sell at a higher price. Right? What if farmer defaults on the loan after selling receipt to the buyer? What if farmer again becomes an NPA, non-performing asset? Okay, all of them are covered under PSL only. Why farmers are committing suicides after government? Are Baba, you should know what is happening in reality, right? In reality, there is a distress in the agriculture sector, right? Have you not been reading newspapers, right? What has happened to earnings of onion farmers, potato farmers, tomato farmers in case of India, right? Of course, a lot of issues are there. Okay. Under ENAM, a good is procured by a trader from another far located state. It will increase transportation cost. Anyways, you're going to incur transportation cost. Imagine, right? Understand this. Imagine you want quality grades, right? Even if you went physically to that market, you purchase the transportation cost you will have to incur. In either case, there's a cost of transportation. But right, understand the logic here. What is the logic? I told you the problems of the APMC earlier. Don't you think the requirement of multiple licenses will be addressed? Right? ENAM portal will facilitate trading. It will not reduce the cost of transportation. Right? I hope you understand. Okay. Will the long-term loan cover crop destroyed by rainfall or locust? Please understand, any type of a destruction of the crops, it will come under Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, PMFBY. There's one more scheme of the government of India, PMFBY. Okay. 2,000 rupee or more transfer by UPI will be surcharge on this. It's not a surcharge, it is intercharge fees. Right? If you're going to transfer more than 2,000 rupees, make a payment of more than 2,000 rupees from your UPI wallet or wallet using UPI, intercharge is imposed on it. What is grading? Grading means providing quality. What is the quality? Right? What is the quality of the crop? What is the quality of the product? Providing for the quality. That is called as grading. Okay. How PMGKAY reduce burden? Please understand the statement. The merger of PMGKAY with NFSA reduce the burden. Right? Understand the logic here. Under NFSA, you are giving 5 kgs, right? You are incurring subsidy. Under PMGKAY, you are giving free of cost. Now, if you bring the PMGKY under NFSA, don't you think rather than giving more food grains, now you'll be giving lesser food grains? 5 kgs, now only 5 kgs. That too free of cost. Obviously, the subsidy burden on the government will come down. So storage may lead to inflation as large part of farmers intentionally store the commodities for the benefit of income. Is it not illegal? You tell me where it has happened. Middlemen do that. Middlemen generally try to do that. Farmers don't do that. Okay. Any other question? Any other questions? Done then. Okay. Let me stop the discussion here. We'll continue with the issues related to ENAM, issues related to e-National Agriculture Market from the next class. Okay. Have a great weekend. See you again on Monday. Okay. Take care.